After greeting each other, Ling Chen and Greenwood sat down facing each other. Ling Chen directly asked, "Fairy Chief Greenwood, did you call me here to tell me if there was any way of leaving?" Greenwood sighed and shook his head. "I am ashamed to say that none of us know any way of leaving the fairy realm except through the Nature's Ring. To be honest, when I saw that you appeared here, I knew that you would be like us, unable to leave." Ling Chen deeply frowned. "There's really no other way?" Greenwood became extremely serious, stood up, and paced around as he replied, "There are some matters that are extremely secret that have been passed down from fairy chief to fairy chief. Although you're not part of our fairy clan, I'll still tell you, otherwise you'll be unable to accept things as they are." "What things?" Ling Chen stood up as he earnestly asked. Greenwood turned around, and looked at him. "Do you know why we have a barrier around us that doesn't allow us to leave?" Ling Chen thought for a while, then replied, "Kair told me that it was because the ancestors of the fairy clan didn't want the fairy clan to enter the outside world again." "Indeed," Greenwood nodded, "this was the original intention for setting up the barrier. Our clan is a prestigious one, and overall, we are quite powerful. I'm sure that you've heard that what our clan hates the most is conflict and war. However, there has never been a period of time in the Forgotten Continent when there wasn't any battles or war. In order to maintain the peace of the Forgotten Continent, our ancestors joined the war against the demons, and used their power and lives to destroy those evil beings. However, our clan paid a heavy price, and has been in decline ever since. Despite this, our ancestors did not regret their decision, as they had exterminated one of the biggest threats to the Forgotten Continent. Our ancestors believed that without those demons, the Forgotten Continent would be able to return to its peaceful days, and there would not be any more warfare. However, they were proven wrong. Although there was not the threat of the demons anymore, but the humans started to fight among themselves. Every single battle, countless creatures would be injured or die. The humans even started to try to manipulate and use the fairies' powers for their own selfish gain. At that time, the fairy clan had taken a massive blow, and did not have even 1/10 of the power they had at their peak. The humans that had been kind and friendly to us began to try to take advantage of our clan. Ling Chen, our ancestors completely lost faith in humanity, and apologized to the Moon God clan for what they were going to do. They retreated to this place, the origin of our fairy clan, and set up the bewildering formation, so that no human would ever find us. They also created a barrier to seal the fairy realm, so that fairies would not be able to leave, because they believed that if fairies interacted with the outside world, they would also be contaminated with the greed, pride, cruelty, and immorality of the humans. If that happened, our fairy clan would be finished. After giving a historical overview, Greenwood looked at Ling Chen. "Young human, do you think our ancestors' actions were too extreme, and that they shouldn't have imposed their decisions on their descendants?" Ling Chen thought for a while, then nodded. "AI," Greenwood sighed, "facing the situation of our clan having suffered great losses, as well as their utter disappointment in the humans, they made a rash and extreme decision. They sealed off the fairy clan in hopes that the fairies would not be polluted by the outside world, but they never would have thought that this would one day result in the fairy clan truly perishing." "What do you mean?" Ling Chen asked, astonished. "There was no warfare here, no pollution, and fairies had much longer lifespans than humans. How could the fairy clan perish in such an environment?" Greenwood looked downcast and his voice became heavier. He deeply sighed. "It's because fairy clan has low reproductive abilities. In our clan, 6 out of 10 fairies are males, and only 4 are females. Moreover, out of 10 female fairies, around 2 will not be able to give birth, and out of those who can give birth, they can only give birth once. Also, fairies only give birth to 1 child, there are no twins or triplets as you humans have. You can see what the problem that our clan faces is." Ling Chen was shocked. There was such a disparity between the ratio of males to females, and they had such poor reproductive abilities. If this was the case, the fairy clan would lose a significant number of fairies every generation, and in not too long, perhaps a few thousand years, they would go extinct. This is something that we have no control over. In the past, fairies would marry humans. Because there are always more male fairies than female fairies, many male fairies would marry human females, and give birth to more fairies through their human wives. In those times, the fairy clan was actually increasing in number. However, after being sealed, AI. Greenwood once again deeply sighed, his heart full of anguish and frustration. He slowly continued, apart from what I just said, there is something else, although it is much purer and more beautiful here than the outside world, but because of the barrier, it is simply a beautiful prison. No matter how beautiful it is, a prison is still a prison. Ling Chen stayed silent and waited for Greenwood to continue. No matter how beautiful a place is, anyone would become sick of it and want to leave after staying there for a long time. All of us want to leave here and see the vast outside world. However, we have no way of escaping here, so we can only tell each generation how dirty and polluted the outside world is, as well as slander the humans so as to reduce their curiosity and desire to go to the outside world. Only through this method can we keep the peace in our clan. However, although most of the younger fairies are fearful and apprehensive of the outside world, it's still impossible to completely eliminate any curiosity they have. It's just that with that barrier there, all we can do is hope and dream of the outside world, though we can probably never leave. Greenwood deeply breathed in, and continued to talk. Young human, I told you these things so that you would understand that we have always wanted to leave here. Even if it's because of the certain peril that our clan faces staying here, we simply cannot remain in this sealed realm. It's just that, like I said before, even if every single fairy attacked with their full strength, we would be unable to destroy the barrier. According to our ancestors, the only beings powerful enough to destroy this barrier would be the Moon God clan. However, it was our ancestors who told the Moon God clan that they wanted to separate themselves from the rest of the world forever, and now that we are sealed in here, there's no way to even contact the Moon God clan. As such, we can only stay here, generation after generation. The main reason Greenwood told Ling Chen these things was to tell him an important truth, that after entering, he could never leave. Even the fairy chief himself wanted to leave, but it was simply impossible. Don't you have the nature's ring? Couldn't you all use that to send you out? Ling Chen thought of the skill that had sent him 500 kilometers away. The reason's very simple, nature's ring doesn't affect us fairies. Because it randomly teleports the target to a random place 500 kilometers away, the target could be sent to an extremely dangerous place, or a place where they could be stranded with no food or water. As such, when the nature's ring was made, it was made so that fairies would not be affected by it. However, it is effective for humans like yourself. Greenwood explained. Ling Chen became even more confused, but when I was transported out, I also took Kair with me. Isn't Kair a fairy? She's your daughter as well. No, surprisingly, Greenwood shook his head, this is one of our fairy clan's greatest secrets. I can tell you, but you must not tell anyone else. Kair isn't a pure fairy, and she's not my daughter either, you must not tell anyone, especially not Kair. Ling Chen was shocked, but thinking to Kair's appearance, she was indeed different to the other fairies. When he had first met Kair, he had noticed how incredibly small she was. He had thought that all fairies were that small until he met Shura, as well as the other fairies of the fairy clan. Moreover, it wasn't simply because Kair was young, fairy children were about as big as human children, and there were no other fairies who were as small as Kair. So if Kair wasn't a pure fairy, what was she? At this moment, someone knocked on the door, and Shua's cold voice sounded out, "Father, grandmother and the 10 elders are here now." Greenwood turned around, looked towards the door, and calmly said, "You can all come in and begin the ceremony." Ceremony? What ceremony? Ling Chen was filled with questions. Her gaze was incredibly sharp, like that of an eagle's. It was surprising that such an old person could have such terrifying eyes. Seeing the aura around this woman, Ling Chen guessed that she was Fairy Chief Greenwood's mother. This elderly woman looked ancient, whereas Greenwood still looked middle-aged. It seemed that fairies tended to give birth quite late. Mother! Greenwood quickly ran over to support her. Behind the elderly woman, there were 10 other fairies, 7 males and 3 females, the youngest of whom looked about the same age as Greenwood. The auras from each of these 10 fairies were incredibly powerful, causing Ling Chen's heart to slightly tremble. These 10 fairies were probably the 10 elders that Ing Shui mentioned. To become elders of the fairy clan, they must all have monstrous power. What sort of ceremony was it that Greenwood had mentioned? Please sit, elders. After helping the elderly woman to sit down in the central seat, Greenwood looked at the 10 elders and sat down next to the elderly woman. The 10 elders sat in 2 rows, one on each side of the room. Only Ling Chen and Ing Shui were standing, as well as Kaier, who was floating around, looking very interested. Everyone suddenly became silent and stared at Ling Chen, causing Ling Chen to feel quite awkward. This was especially so for the elderly woman staring at him. Her piercing gaze made him feel as if his entire body was being stabbed over and over again. Mother, this is the human from the outside world. Through a turn of fate, he received Ing Shui's first wings. Greenwood gestured to Ling Chen as he spoke to the elderly woman beside him. The elderly woman continued to gaze at Ling Chen, and nodded her head. She slightly smiled, very good. The humans are just like the legends say, very similar to us with the exception of not having wings. This human has good eyes and a mysterious air around him, and doesn't seem to be evil or immoral. I suppose he wouldn't be too bad for Ing Shui. As such, I am satisfied. Young human, what is your name? Ling Chen politely replied, my name is Ling Tian. How should I address senior? The elderly woman warmly smiled, you can call me Granny Witherwood, but in future, you can call me grandmother or granny like Ing Shui. Greenwood and the 10 elders all began to heartily smile. The elder sitting at the far right smiled, Ing Shui is a treasure that the heavens has gifted to our fairy clan. Long ago, we said that Ing Shui's marriage should be decided by the heavens, and this human who descended from the heavens, by chance, obtained Ing Shui's first wings. Is this not a marriage ordained by the heavens? Wonderful. It's not just that this little brother is the first human who has ever come to our fairy realm, perhaps he is a variable that the heavens have sent to change our fairy clan's fate. What do you all say? Another elder smilingly said. All the other elders nodded in agreement. If what these elders had said had come out of a human's mouth, everyone would have taken it to be a joke. However, seeing that these elders were acting so seriously and sincerely, it was unlikely that these pure and righteous fairies were lying or being sarcastic. It seemed that fairies were more different mentally than physically to humans. Alright, enough with the small talk. Child, Greenwood has already told me the situation with you and my clan. Since you have come here, there is no way for you to leave. Perhaps this is something that the heavens decided. In future, you can stay here and let this become your new home. Moreover, Ing Shui's not that young anymore, and this old granny has been waiting for her to have a family for a long time. I hope that you two can get married within 10 days. What are your thoughts? Granny Witherwood said warmly as she looked at Ling Chen. Hearing this, almost stumbled backwards. This Granny Witherwood had an incredibly high status in the fairy clan, and all of the 10 elders, as well as the fairy chief were present in this little room. It seemed that in order to pressure him, the fairy clan had gathered together all of their important and powerful figures. However, Ling Chen would not change his mind. Against the pressure from these 12 fairies, Ling Chen deeply breathed in, and calmly said, Granny Witherwood, Fairy Chief Greenwood, as well as the 10 elders, I am unable to accept the marriage between Ing Shui and myself. As soon as Ling Chen had said this, the entire room fell silent. The peaceful and warm atmosphere within the room became icy cold. The smiles on Greenwood and the 10 elders' faces froze, whereas Ing Shue's lips slightly trembled. Kaier's look of excitement turned into one of agitation, with one hand covering her mouth and the other one furiously making gestures to Ling Chen. This change in atmosphere was completely within Ling Chen's expectations. He continued to speak, in our human world, marriage isn't decided by an object. Rather, two people take time to develop their feelings for each other, and when their feelings reach a certain level, they decide to get married and spend the rest of their lives together. I have known Ing Shue for less than a day, and we have no feelings for each other. Although the fairy clan's rules stipulate that because I have Ing Shue's first wings, she must marry me, but after all, I am a human and cannot accept this. Moreover, as a human, the maximum I can live is 100 years. If I really did marry Ing Shue, then after a few decades, would grow old and die, whereas Ing Shue would still look young and beautiful. Wouldn't this be the same as her spending the rest of her life alone? Fairy Chief Greenwood, Granny Witherwood, I'm sure that you wouldn't want this to happen to Ing Shue. After Ling Chen finished talking, he looked at Granny Witherwood in the eyes. After all, Granny Witherwood had the most decision-making power in this little wooden room. Fairy Chief Greenwood sighed and said, "Mother, please don't become angry. He is, after all, an outsider, so he doesn't completely understand our traditions. It's understandable that he would say such things." Granny Witherwood nodded, and her voice continued to be warm. "Child, although I have never been to the outside world, but I believe that in the outside world, it's impossible to find a girl as pretty as Ing Shue. Our ancestors said that it is within a human's nature to be lustful and immoral, and there are countless humans who are willing to do unimaginable things for beauties. However, what you have said has proven that you are not one of those people. Moreover, your rejection has shown that to be able to reject our offer, you are not weakling or a coward, but are rather rational and logical. This old granny truly glad that Ing Shue can be with someone like you. However, child, there's something that you're wrong about. In our fairy clan, we do value fairies having feelings for each other. Only after a female fairy falls in love with a male will she give her most important possession, her first wings, to that male. And only if the male also loves her will he accept her first wings. However, Ing Shue did not give you her wings, but you somehow received them. In my clan, this is something we call a match made by heaven. It is the most admirable type of union, as we believe that this sort of marriage is granted by nature itself." Greenwood followed on, "Us fairies are all birthed by nature, and believe that our fate is determined by nature itself, including marriage. Your marriage with Ing Shue is something that was arranged by nature, so we will do our best to fulfill it. If you two are not united in marriage, that would be tantamount to disrespect and rebellion to nature, and our clan will receive punishments from nature. Although you are a human, now that you are within our clan, you also need to follow our clan's rules and traditions." Ling Chen, email protected, $%. What sort of stupid logic is this? As for your second point, there's no need worrying about that, Granny Witherwood said as she stretched out her withered hand, and a small wooden bottle about as big as her thumb appeared. "Come, child, drink this bottle of fairy water. Afterwards, your body, soul and energy will all become purified, and you will have the blood, energy and lifespan of a fairy. If you also become a fairy, then you won't have to worry about dying early and leaving Ing Shue by herself. Body, soul and energy being purified and having a fairy's blood, becoming a true fairy." Ling Chen's heart jumped, and he rapidly shook his head. "I'm a human, so how could I become a fairy? Moreover, I can't stay here forever. My friends are all in the human world, so I will definitely find a way back." "Indeed, you are a human, and although your body is here, your heart is not. This is even more of a reason for you to drink this fairy water. Furthermore, you have come into our fairy realm twice, so you evidently know the method for activating the transportation channels in the bewildering formation. If you left, and told other people, perhaps a true disaster would befall our fairy clan. As such, no matter what, you must drink this fairy water." Not only will this fairy water let you become a true fairy, but it will also cleanse your memories, and make you forget about everything unrelated to fairies. That way, you will be able to stay here without worrying about leaving. This will benefit you greatly, so quickly drink it down. Although Granny Witherwood spoke slowly, each of her words boomed against Ling Chen's ears, attacking his ears and heart. Ling Chen. Cleansing memories? Within his mind, he suddenly remembered the mental attack he had suffered from the lunar scourge. That sort of sensation was incredibly realistic, and should not have existed in normal games. He believed that if his spirit was not incredibly strong, his mind would have collapsed, and become the lunar scourge's puppet. From that moment, he had sensed that there was something strange and different about Mystic Moon. It was as if things within Mystic Moon could affect one's mind and spirit in the real world. In that case, if he really drank this fairy water, maybe his memories really would be erased. With the precedent from the lunar scourge, Ling Chen definitely did not want to risk losing his memories. Suddenly, Ling Yu's voice sounded out in his mind, "Little Master. Don't drink the fairy water under any circumstances." From memory, the fairy water is used to purify creatures, and can purify their body, energy and memories. The highest quality of fairy water can directly turn humans into fairies, so don't drink it, otherwise you'll really lose all of your memories. Ling Chen quickly stepped back, and resolutely replied, "No. I am a human, and I refuse to become a fairy. As for the bewildering formation, I swear that I won't tell anyone." All of the fairies fell silent, and Granny Witherwood sighed. "Usually, our fairy clan is unwilling to use force, but we're even more unwilling to displease nature. Even if you don't want to, we'll have to help you drink it down. Little Master, quickly leave." Qiyu yelled out. The sudden appearance of the vines caused Greenwood and the 10 elders to all stand up in shock. Greenwood hurriedly asked, "Mother, is this really the right thing to do?" Granny Witherwood sighed and replied, "Child, I have to do this, the alternative is even more cruel. If you are unable to forget about your life in the outside world, being forced to stay here will be even more painful. However, if you can forget about the past, and live as a fairy, you will live happily each day. After all, now that you're here, it's impossible for you to leave. Greenwood, elders, let's help him drink down this fairy water. He was sent here by nature, so we cannot disobey nature." Granny Witherwood's words caused Greenwood and the 10 elders to become resolute. They also stretched out their hands, and even more tree vines burst out of the ground to attack Ling Chen. "Ah, big bro." The only one who was anxious for Ling Chen was Kair. Ling Chen tightly gritted his teeth. By now, there were so many vines in the room that the room had darkened from the vines blocking out the light from outside. At first, he was quite nervous upon entering the fairy realm, but the fairy's warmth and cordiality had dispelled any nervousness. However, at this moment, all he felt for the fairy clan was resentment. No matter what the reason was, trying to erase his memories was completely unforgivable. Whoosh! How could it be that easy to bind Ling Chen's body with those vines? Like a fish in water, Ling Chen weaved in and out of the vines, and dodged all of the fairies' attacks. Seeing that they had failed in restraining him, the fairies were all unbelievably shocked. They did not expect that this human would be able to dodge the vines, and they weren't even able to see clearly how he did it. "Quickly leave. That fairy chief has at least mysterious god-grade power. He was just casually attacking just then. If he used his full power, you wouldn't have a chance. These fairies don't have any ill will towards you, but they seem determined to catch you. Leave immediately, and run as far as you can." Qiyu yelled. Seeing that Ling Chen had escaped all of their attacks, Greenwood frowned. He lifted his hand, and a green light flashed on his palm. The 10 elders also did the same, and immediately, Ling Chen could sense impending danger from every corner of the room. Ling Chen's eyes widened, and he raised his right hand, releasing a piercing silver light from the lunar scourge. Flash! As the silver light filled the small room, all of the fairies screamed out in pain and squeezed their eyes shut, unable to open them temporarily. This was the most terrifying light they had ever encountered in their whole lives. It was as if countless tiny, silver swords had filled the room, robbing them of their vision. After they were finally able to open their eyes again, they looked around, but found that Ling Chen was gone. That light just then, Greenwood walked to the door, and sighed, no matter what he does, he won't be able to leave this sealed space. Greenwood stretched out his hands, and took out a unique-looking bamboo flute. He talked into the flute, immediately capture that human. Restrain him, but do not hurt him under any circumstances. Putting down the flute, Greenwood closed his eyes and said, let's try to catch up to him as well. Using moon flare, Ling Chen had escaped from the small room. He called out his cloud-stepping mare, and charged forwards. He was not running aimlessly like the fairy clan had expected, instead, he was directly charging towards the mountain that supposedly contained the dangerous transportation channel. After charging out for about 100 meters, large waves of adult fairies suddenly appeared. They stretched out their hands, and green lights flashed on their palms. Fairies were not only expert archers, but could also control plants. Evidently, they didn't want to hurt him, as they didn't use any arrows. However, this motion of stretching out their hand and the green flash indicated the summoning of those vines. Even the little Kair was of the celestial grade. With so many adult fairies attacking together, it would be incredibly difficult for him to escape. Ling Chen desperately thought, and suddenly thought of an item. He reached into his bag and took out one of the furious pineapples he had obtained from the lucky cat, and threw it ahead of him. Boom! As the furious pineapple landed, it created a deafening explosion, and all of the fairies ahead fell to the ground with little stars spinning around their heads. All of them had been stunned. Apart from poison, fairies had high resistance to all abnormal statuses. However, this furious pineapple came from a lucky cat, so the stun it applied definitely wasn't any normal stun. Ling Chen increased his speed and continued to charge ahead. He was now only about 1 kilometer away from the mountain. If there really was a transportation channel there, even if it was incredibly dangerous, it would be better than having his memories wiped. The fairy realm was not very big, and there was nowhere to run or hide. As such, the fairies were not overly desperate in chasing him. Although the cloud-stepping mare was fast, it couldn't outrun the experts of the fairy clan. When Ling Chen was still about 300 meters away from the mountain, the 10 elders suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking his way. The elder in the middle exasperatedly said, "Child, stop running. We don't want to harm you. Drinking this fairy water will only benefit you. Screw off." Ling Chen was enraged. He unhesitatingly threw another furious pineapple out in front of him. Boom! To be the 10 elders of the fairy clan, these fairies were incomparably stronger than other normal fairies. However, as the furious pineapple exploded, they also fell to the ground like the other fairies, stunned for 5 seconds. Even they were unable to resist the effects of the furious pineapple. In total, Ling Chen had obtained 5 furious pineapples from the lucky cat. In just a short while, he had already used 2, causing his heart to ache. However, he had no other choice. He simply couldn't risk being caught. After charging for another 100 meters, a green light flashed and a wall of vines were growing in front of him. He looked behind him, and found that the 10 elders were already standing again. This gigantic vine wall was the only thing stopping him from reaching his destination. Seeing the vine wall growing in front of him, Ling Chen did not reduce his speed, but stared at a gap that was quickly closing. He called out in a low voice, "Moon Shadow." Moon Shadow affected anything that was within its radius, not just living creatures. The gigantic vine wall stopped growing, no matter how hard the 10 elders tried. They could only watch as Ling Chen slipped through the last gap in the vine wall. The fairies were not too desperate to chase him down, as they were actually quite unwilling to force others to do things against their will. Moreover, the place where Ling Chen was fleeing to was a dead end. There was nowhere to run once he reached the mountain. Without any more obstacles, Ling Chen finally reached the mountain. Him, a LV-20 player, reaching his destination despite being blocked by many fairies was quite unbelievable. Ling Chen jumped down from the cloud-stepping mare, and called out Xiao Hui. He quickly said to Xiao Hui, see if there are any secret transportation channels here, even if it's an incredibly dangerous one, we still need to go through it. Xiao Hui immediately started exploring, and the horn on his head glowed with a gray light. Xiao Hui had never let Ling Chen down before, and after running around, he stopped about 10 meters away from the mountain. He paused for a few seconds, then jumped up and down, and ran in a circle around where he had stopped. Once, twice, 3 times. After running around in circles 5 times, a dim, white circle of light appeared where he was running. As Xiao Hui continued to run, the circle of light became brighter and brighter. After running around in circles 10 times, Xiao Hui jumped out of the circle of light, and ran in front of Ling Chen, then barked. The white circle of light was definitely a transportation channel. It seemed that what Kair had told him was true. Ling Chen was elated he could finally leave. He unhesitatingly walked towards the circle of light. Just as he was about to enter, Greenwood and the 10 elders had caught up, as well as Shura and an anxious-looking Kair. The instant he saw the circle of light, Greenwood's face revealed an expression of shock. He yelled, "Don't enter it." Ling Chen smirked inwardly. As if he would listen to Greenwood. He and Xiao Hui both ran into the transportation channel. Greenwood's face twisted, and released all of his power, so much that the 10 elders beside him and his 2 daughters were swept back by it. A vine as thick as an arm erupted out of the ground, and shot towards Ling Chen, hoping to pull him out from the transportation channel. However, it was too late. When Ling Chen stood within the circle of light, the transportation had already begun. By the time the vine reached Ling Chen's body, Ling Chen had already disappeared into thin air. Greenwood couldn't believe his eyes. He staggered back 2 steps, unable to accept what had just happened. "It's over," Greenwood dispiritedly said. It's not that surprising that he knew of the transportation channel. After all, it's not much of a secret. However, the method for activating the transportation channel is very unique, so how did he activate it in such a short period of time? Greenwood frowned deeply. Only he knew where the transportation channel led to. He somehow found a way to get past the bewildering formation, so perhaps he has some method for easily finding and activating transportation channels. "Father, where does that transportation channel lead to?" Shura walked up and asked in her clear voice, her crystal eyes with a hint of worry in them. The 10 elders and Kair all looked towards Greenwood, waiting for him to answer Shura. "AI," Greenwood sighed, "we hoped that he would be able to follow our fairy clan's rules and religion, but in the end, we're much too different from humans. We are unable to understand him, and he is unable to understand us. Perhaps we were in the wrong this time. To us, making him drink down the fairy water may not have been that bad, but to him, perhaps he was more willing to die than accept that. As such, we have forced him into a place of death." Greenwood raised his head and closed his eyes. That transportation channel was something that our ancestors asked the Moon God clan to create for us before we were sealed off. The purpose of the transportation channel was to punish evildoers, as well as enemies from the outside world. When activated, this transportation channel sends the target to a place called the Lunar Sky Hell. It is a place even more terrifying than hell itself, and is a place where the Moon God clan imprisons all of the extremely evil humans, monsters, demons, undead. Only creatures that have committed countless sins would be sent to such a place. What's more, once a creature is thrown in there, they can never leave. The seal on that place is many times stronger than the barrier around the fairy realm, and there are countless evil creatures there. Legends say that there are even some ancient beasts. According to the ancestors, the ancient beasts in there can even easily kill our ancestors. The only thing awaiting that human, Ling Tian, is death. Perhaps right now he is being savagely killed, and even if he doesn't get killed, he'll still never be able to leave there. Ah! Kair let out a cry of shock, and covered her mouth with her hands. She was so worried that it seemed as if she was going to start crying. No wonder the ancestors told us not go near here. It turned out that this transportation channel connects to such a terrifying place. AI, then that human, although it was unintentional, this was caused by us. We should all go and reflect on our actions. One elder said, ashamed. Woo, no, Big Brother will be fine. He said that he's a player from a different world, and that he can revive after dying, and return to the human city. He'll definitely be fine. Kair said as she desperately held back her tears and shook her head. No, that's not entirely true. If it was anywhere else, that would be the case. However, in the lunar sky hell, that definitely won't happen. The seal on the lunar sky hell was put in place by the moon god clan themselves, so nothing could ever escape from there. If he's from another world, then that means his spirit is here. Usually if he dies, then he will be revived in a human city. However, in the lunar sky hell, even if he revives, he'll revive in the lunar sky hell. Woo, then, Big Brother, he'll never be able to come out. The little Kair's voice trembled as she asked. She simply couldn't accept this sort of outcome. If Ling Chen would never be able to escape from the lunar sky hell, she would never be able to see him again, and neither would Ying Shui. As such, Ying Shui would have to spend the rest of her life by herself. Greenwood deeply sighed, and turned around. He helplessly said, Elders, please set up a seal around this place so that no one can get close to here. If we have to use it again someday, we'll unlock the seal then. Afterwards, he looked at Ying Shui, then began to walk back, downcast. At the foot of the mountain, the wind whistled by. Ying Shui stood unmoving, staring at the place where Ling Chen had disappeared speechlessly, as if her soul had been taken away. She thought that she had no feelings for him, but seeing him adamantly reject their marriage, and disappear in the transportation channel, her heart suddenly felt empty and confused. It was completely dark where Ling Chen appeared, and there was a stench of rotten flesh. The air was icy cold, and the atmosphere within this place was cruel and oppressive, as if there were countless blades stabbing into his entire body. Where was this? And the atmosphere in here, why was it so terrifying? Ling Chen endured the disgusting stench, and opened his eyes wide to look at his surroundings. After a while, his eyes became adjusted to the darkness, and he could roughly see the area within 10 meters of him. Little Master, where is this place? Why does the atmosphere feel so strange here? Qiyu asked. I don't know, I didn't receive any system announcements just then. Kair told me that the transportation channel connected to somewhere extremely dangerous. Ling Chen frowned, and took out his weapons, and edged forwards. At this moment, a system announcement sounded out. Ding, you have entered an extremely dangerous region, Lunar Sky Hell. Lunar Sky Hell. Hearing this system announcement, Ling Chen muttered these words to himself. Lunar Sky Hell. Qiyu also repeated the name, then went silent. After a few seconds, she suddenly yelled out, What did you say? This is Lunar Sky Hell. Ding, within the Lunar Sky Hell, your level will decrease by 1 every 24 hours. You will respawn where you die, and receive 3 times the normal death penalty. Please quickly leave. Ling Chen. The system announcement caused Ling Chen to become extremely shocked. His level would decrease by 1 every 24 hours, to think that there would be such a terrifying place within Mystic Moon. And Qiyu's reaction just then. Qiyu, what do you know about Lunar Sky Hell? Ling Chen anxiously asked. For a while, Ling Chen could only hear Qiyu heavily breathing. After half a minute, she despondently replied, No doubt, our surroundings, the environment all confirm that this is the lunar sky hell. I never thought that we would be taken to this place. It's over, little master, we're going to be stuck here forever. Qiu's caused Ling Chen to become even more worried. What sort of place is this? This is a place that, once entered, cannot be left. This applies to players like Little Master as well. If you players died at any other place, you would be taken back to the revival center, but if you die here, you will keep reviving here. Escaping from here is pretty much impossible. Within the last 10,000 years, no creature has ever escaped from here before. Qiu said in an ominous voice. Ling Chen, Qiu's words, as well as the system announcement from just then, struck Ling Chen like a thunderbolt. No way to escape, level decreasing by 1 every 24 hours, and even dying would revive him at the same place where he had died. He never would have thought that there would be such a cruel place in a game world. It seemed that he might be trapped here forever. Is the seal here even stronger than the one in the fairy realm? Ling Chen asked as he ground his teeth together. The barrier in the fairy realm is indeed strong, but comparing the fairy realm barrier to the lunar sky hell seal is like comparing a sheet of paper to a block of steel. This lunar sky hell belongs to the moon god clan, and it's where they seal all extremely evil creatures. The seal on this place has been reinforced by countless generations of moon gods. Even if a moon god was put in here, they might not be able to escape. All of the creatures that have been sealed in here are all extremely powerful and evil creatures, including ancient beasts and ancient spirits have incredibly long lifespans and terrifying strength. The weakest of these are about Lord grade, and the strongest are mysterious god or even stronger. Any of the creatures sealed in here are enough to wreak havoc in the entire Forgotten Continent. However, none of these powerful beasts or spirits have ever been able to escape. They can only fight and kill among themselves, and the ones that are still living are all incredibly powerful. Little Master, you coming here was completely unintentional. Since the creation of the lunar sky hell, you're probably the weakest creature that's ever come in here. Any creature here is able to easily rip you apart. Ling Yu's words caused Ling Chen to shiver. He stubbornly took out a teleport scroll, and tried to shatter it. However, it was ineffective even in the fairy realm, so how could it work here? Ling Chen picked up his communication device, and tried to contact Shui Ruo. However, all he could hear was a system announcement telling him that he could not contact the outside world. Before, Ling Chen thought that because the only way to leave the fairy realm was to die, being transported anywhere else would be better. However, he never expected to be sent to such a terrifying place. His position had changed from one where he was able to escape, but at a cost, to one of complete and utter despair. Ling Chen stood there in shock, and felt powerless. There's really no way to escape from here? None at all. Qiu replied, otherwise, all of the powerful monsters would have escaped from here long ago. Of course, if one was absurdly powerful, they would be able to destroy the seal forcefully. However, that sort of power would have to be 10 times stronger than that of the 3 moon goddesses. It's simply impossible for someone to have that sort of power. To be sealed in the lunar sky hell was one of the most severe types of punishment. If one died, then that would be the end of it, but if they didn't, then they would have to suffer for eternity. Qiu paused, then continued in a despondent voice, back then, what scared me the most was being locked up in here. I never thought that it wouldn't be the Moon God clan throwing me in here, but Little Master choosing to come to this place. Ling Chen had never encountered, nor heard of, such a terrifying place that could not be left in a game world before. Logically, such a place should not appear in a game. It simply wouldn't be fair for there to be a place that could not be left by players once they entered, causing them to be unable to play the game. Qiu's words were like buckets of cold water that were poured on Ling Chen's body and heart, causing him to feel more and more depressed. Qiu's information fully corroborated with the system announcements, which showed that what she was saying was the truth. The lunar sky hell was a place of total despair and hopelessness. However, despair was something that Ling Chen had faced over and over again in his life. As such, when hearing what Xiao had to say, Ling Chen's reaction was not too extreme. There are no such things as absolutes. Whatever, let's have a look around. Ling Chen sighed as he walked forwards. I guess that's the only thing we can do. However, little master, be prepared to stay here forever. Since I reside in the Lunar Scourge, as long as the Lunar Scourge is not destroyed, I won't die either. Although I'll be here forever, but with the undying little master, that doesn't seem too bad. Xiao had returned to her normal self after all, there was no point remaining depressed. However, little master, please be careful, and try not to die too much. With the Lunar Scourge, as well as little master's abilities, I'm sure that you'll be able to run away as long as there aren't too many monsters. Lunar Sky Hell. Looking ahead, Ling Chen deeply breathed in. This was a place that players shouldn't be able to enter, and yet he had somehow ended up here. He started to become used to the rotten stench, and although it was dark, he could still somewhat see what was close to him. The only thing that caused him to feel unsettled was the gloomy and heavy atmosphere. There were no living creatures around him, but there seemed to be danger everywhere. He looked down at Xiao Hui, and saw that Xiao Hui's fur was standing, and had been for a long time. Evidently, it was very dangerous here. Even peak-level experts would have to be extremely wary when coming here, let alone him, a LV-20 player. Ling Chen calmed himself down, and started to walk forwards. Ling Chen found that the ground was quite flat, and was pleasantly surprised. However, the ground felt incredibly solid, so it probably wouldn't be practical to dig his way out. Within the darkness, he could only see about 10 meters in front of him. Every single step he took with care, and made sure not to make any noise. His mind was stretched to its maximum alertness. Ling Chen calmly said, since I'm a player, even if I keep getting killed and falling down to LV0, that doesn't really matter, because I won't really die. There's no difference between dying once and dying 100 times, so it's not that terrifying. I'll just keep looking for a way to escape, or maybe the Moon God clan monitors this place, and will discover me, then let me out. Perhaps the Fairy clan will think of some way to contact the Moon God clan and tell them to release me. Rest assured, little master, none of those things you just considered can become reality, Xiao swiftly said. Those incredibly strong monsters have not been able to escape, let alone you, who does not even amount to 0.0001 of their power. Ling Chen laughed, then I'll just stay here. With a beauty like you, I don't think I'll be too bored. Aya, little master, are you confessing your feelings to me? Xiao said in a mocking voice. Oh. Suddenly, Xiao Hui howled, and Ling Chen suddenly stopped walking. He couldn't see anything within his field of vision, but he could sense something incredibly dangerous not too far away. Ling Chen held his breath, and squinted, trying to see what was ahead. He could roughly make out a gigantic shape. However, Xiao Hui could see what it was, and the information regarding the source of the danger was transmitted to Ling Chen. Ninefang, type, beast, level, grade, Heaven's End. An ancient beast with 9 fangs on its side which can stretch for 100 meters and pierce through its target, causing the target to shatter into pieces. A vicious and bloodthirsty creature that has taken countless lives and is feared by countless creatures. It has been sealed in the lunar sky hell for 10,000 years, and has become stronger and more vicious during that time. Passive abilities, skills, ultimate skill, weaknesses. Ling Chen. Heaven's End grade. Ancient beast. Because of the gap in their levels, Xiao Hui could only detect limited information. However, just this bit of information alone was enough to shock Ling Chen. After entering the lunar sky hell, the first creature he had encountered was a Heaven's End grade ancient beast. According to Xiao, all of the creatures sealed in the lunar sky hell were all incredibly powerful and incredibly terrifying. Ling Chen tightly held his breath, and slowly backed away. The giant silhouette wasn't moving, as if it was asleep. Xiao also saw the information that appeared in Ling Chen's mind. As Ling Chen was soundlessly retreating, Qiyu yelled out, "Quickly run. This is the ancient beast Ninefangs of the legends. It is incredibly bloodthirsty, and is very sensitive to any living creatures. Being so close to it, it's definitely already detected you. Its fangs can be extended up to 100 meters, so it's probably preparing to attack you right now, rather than sleeping." Just as Qiyu yelled out, a gust of wind blew past, carrying a thick scent of death. Whoosh! The air was pierced and an incredibly sharp Feng, about half a meter in height, indeed, it was a Feng. Ling Chen twisted his body, with his knees on the ground and his back almost on the ground. The Feng passed over his chest by less than half a centimeter. Roar! A terrifying roar sent tremors through the air, and the roar, as well as the pressure from the beast, weighed down on Ling Chen like a gigantic mountain, making it difficult for him to breathe. Ling Chen knew that death had just narrowly passed by, and his entire body broke out in cold sweat. Ling Chen widened his eyes, and released a silver glow from the lunar scourge. Moon shadow. There was no other choice. A silver light appeared, and expanded out from Ling Chen. The gigantic silhouette was also caught within the effects of moon shadow, and under moon shadow's light, Ling Chen could see what this ancient beast looked like. It was about 5 meters tall, and its entire body was black. It had an extremely small head, and had 2 rows of fangs on its body, 4 on each side. Each of those fangs were about 2 meters long, and were incredibly sharp. The Feng that had just passed by Ling Chen came from its chest, and stretched far into the darkness. Chi. The incomparably terrifying Feng shot out from the darkness, piercing through Cloud-stepping mare. The Cloud-stepping mare let out a painful neigh, and vanished in a white light. In the darkness, the damage value -126,000 appeared, which made Ling Chen's heart skip a beat. If his reaction from before was a split second later, he would have been directly hit. Roar! An ear-splitting roar could be heard in the darkness. After the first Feng, a second cold wind followed closely. Ling Chen dropped onto the ground, and using both his hands and feet, he pushed his body to the side to evade the second Feng. Then, using his legs to push back and leaping towards the left, he narrowly dodged the third Feng. Immediately after, he tumbled on the ground, dodging the fourth Feng. 4 fangs shot out within a 2-second window, and Ling Chen's fluid movements were also all performed in 2 seconds. During this time he could hear Ninefang's heavy treading approaching with earthquake-like footsteps. After the 4th Feng was shot out, judging by the sound of the footsteps, Ling Chen determined that the Ninefang was less than 40 meters away. Ling Chen stretched out his right hand, releasing a sudden bright glow. Roar! The surroundings were covered by the light of the moon flare. Under the dazzling light, Ninefang and all other nearby beasts covered their eyes in pain. The Ninefang no longer wanted to attack, and could not even see where its target was. Ling Chen stood up, and started running in the other direction. Even if you are an ancient beast, don't think you can kill me that easily. Young master, if you use moon flare in a place like this, the bright light will easily attract other beasts to the area. Qiyu reminded. That's right, I'm hoping to attract other beasts to the area. Ling Chen said through his clenched teeth while running. The duration of moon flare was the same as before, a short 5 seconds. Without Cloud-stepping mare, Ling Chen's ability to escape was dramatically reduced. When the moon flare vanished, a mass of red flames appeared in front of Ling Chen. Xiao Hui, who was running beside him, suddenly let out a whelp, and another piece of incomplete information was sent to Ling Chen's mind. Volcanic Desolation Beast, Category, Beast, Level, Grade, Heaven's End, an ancient beast, its body is made of molten lava, and its flames can destroy virtually everything. Its mere existence brought about countless nightmares. It was sealed 10,000 years ago by the Moon God clan. Until this day its fire has never been put out. Passive ability, skills, ultimate skill, weaknesses. The red shadow approached at an exceptional pace, and even in a distance, its scorching heat could be felt. As it closed in, he could see its entire figure. Its body was of an extremely strange shape. The surface was similar to that of flowing magma, flowing slowly, and looked unspeakably terrifying. Growing out of its sides were 4 giant arms, each arm had a burning flame. As it continued its quick approach, Ling Chen could see its body continuously changed shape in unexpected ways, only its arms remained unmoving. Another ancient beast, and it was Heaven's End grade as well. These were hard to encounter even once every 100 years in the outside, and here another had so easily appeared before him. This is a truly scary place. It's the volcanic desolation beast. To think that it was actually sealed in here, and hasn't died after all this time. Qiyu said anxiously. The name volcanic desolation beast was one she had heard before. She also added, but this is also good. These 2 ancient beasts are quite vicious, and if they bump into one another there will inevitably be a fierce battle, giving Little Master a chance to run away. Indeed, when the volcanic desolation beast appeared, Ling Chen felt Ninefang change its target. Ling Chen didn't deliberate any longer, and quickly took out the dark cloak of concealment that he got from the giant greedy toad and put it on his body. Immediately, his body vanished in the darkness and the 2 beasts no longer paid attention to him. It was not easy to detect his presence, and taking this opportunity, Ling Chen quickly left stealthily. Ling Chen didn't spend a moment longer looking, and holding his breath, under the dark cloak of concealment, he ran 1 kilometer before stopping. Although even at that distance he could hear the sounds of fierce combat taking place, and could see the twinkle of the red flame, but for now he was safe. The effect of the dark cloak of concealment had also been depleted, and the cloak turned into mist and started to dissipate. His palm touched an icy cold wall, and Ling Chen walked along the wall, puffing, then eventually leaned against it to regain his strength. This place was too scary. He had only been here for a few minutes, and had already unexpectedly encountered 2 ancient beasts one after the other. If not for their natural disposition to fight each other, even if he used Moon Shadow and Moon Flare to run away, he would be unable to escape the destiny of being destroyed. He had faced huge mental pressure, and at this time he could finally relax. However, he knew that if he sat down, he would be unable to get up again. 1 kilometer away, the fight continued, and in the other direction a strange sound could be heard. Goo! Goo! What's that sound? Ling Chen wrinkled his brow, his whole body tense again. Goo! 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 Thump! Goo! Thump! Ling Chen stood up next to the wall, motionless, as if he was a sculpture on display. Facing the source of the strange sound, looking at it with concentration for a long time, he could make out a big fuzzy shadow that was as big as a hill. That dark shadow was jumping towards his location. The goo sound was the sound that it made from its mouth, and thump was every time it hit the ground. This sound, the movement, could it be a frog? Goo! Thump! Goo! Thump! Goo! Thump! Goo thump! 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 Thump thump thump! The sound suddenly changed, the speed of the shadow quickened, and its movement was exactly towards his location. Ling Chen's heart dropped. He knew that he had been discovered. He couldn't clearly see it, but that didn't mean it couldn't see him. The ancient beast's abilities could not be compared at all to human abilities. It had noticed Ling Chen as easily as a normal person would have seen another person in broad daylight. Ancient Toad King, category, beast, level, grade, Heaven's End. The ancient Toad King was the leader of the toads and has an incomparably greedy heart. It has formidable defensive power and ability to manipulate the ground. After the toads had been destroyed by the Moon God clan, the ancient Toad King was banished to this prison, and since being thrown here, it has never been killed. Passive ability, skills, ultimate skill, weaknesses. An ancient beast. He had encountered an ancient beast yet again. And it was similar to Ling Chen's guess, it was a huge toad. Thump 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 thump. The ancient Toad King leapt forwards by at least several meters at a time. With the sound of it hitting the ground getting closer and closer, Ling Chen couldn't help but feel anxious. However, this time, there was no warning as he felt a pressure moving towards him in the air. He quickly raised his head and stared at the monster entering his field of view. He could also see a pair of claws that were bigger than he was. The dark green claws were covered in bumps of various sizes, and was a terrifying sight. Along with the claws, a huge ugly body entered Ling Chen's field of view, and its breath flooded the area with a foul smell. The body reflected a cold light, casting fear on those who looked. Ling Chen raised his right hand, and cast Moon Shadow with the Lunar Scourge. While facing ancient beasts that he was unable to fight, the Lunar Scourge's two big diversion skills became a significant advantage in keeping alive. The body of the ancient Toad King froze in midair, and taking advantage of the time bought with Moon Shadow, Ling Chen started rapidly running away. While doing so, he managed to get a good look at the giant toad. It was tens of meters long, wide and tall. But its shape, and its cry, made Ling Chen think about when he first entered Mystic Moon, one of the most dangerous opponents he fought at the time, the giant greedy toad. In the lunar sky hell, Ling Chen really faced danger at every step, and had to take every step with utmost care. First it was Ninefang, then the volcanic desolation beast, and when he finally had some time to catch his breath, he encountered the ancient Toad King. This was truly a very scary world. Thump. The effect of Moon Shadow had ended and the huge body of the ancient Toad King landed on the ground heavily, causing the ground to tremble. Ling Chen had already escaped by dozens of meters. After he rushed off, he could hear the thumping sound behind him getting closer and closer. The movement speed of the ancient Toad King was not the fastest amongst other monsters in the same tier, but it was an ancient beast after all, so its speed was actually comparable to Ling Chen's. The few dozens of meters of distance was closed in an instant. Then, the ancient Toad King suddenly jumped up high, reaching more than 30 m into the air, but it didn't fall onto Ling Chen, but instead landed heavily 10 m behind Ling Chen's position. Bang! Ling Chen was shaken, and he fell onto the ground. Ding! Due to the effect of the ancient Toad King's great earth storm, you are dizzy and stunned for at least 5 seconds. Ling Chen's brain had blanked out and couldn't process what the notification was, but he knew he had been stunned. For the effect of dizziness, his greatly strengthened mental energy was a big help. An effect that should have affected him for at least 5 seconds took him only 2 seconds to recover from. As he regained consciousness, his vision started to be restored, and he could see that the ancient Toad King was above his body, less than 5 meters away. Even though he had recovered from the dizziness, he had not actually recovered from the stun, so even though Ling Chen wanted to immediately escape, he couldn't compel his body to move. Moreover, even under normal conditions, even if his speed was doubled, he would be unable to move out of the way quickly enough to escape the ancient Toad King. Alas, with these kinds of abilities in a scary place such as this one, his strength was like an ant. No matter how much he struggled, death was inevitable. Having no place to go, Ling Chen could only close his eyes, but he felt a certain peace. After all, he had faced beasts that were of heaven-end's grade. Being able to escape 3 of these monsters for such a long time, was already a pretty big deal. Coming to this place, even though it was forced by the fairies, he only had himself to blame. Moreover, the fairy clan didn't force him to use the transportation channel, he chose to do that himself. Coming here and hearing the announcement made him scared but also excited. And when faced with the terrors of this place, the stimulation was definitely exciting, but in the end he was unable to fight and could only face his death. Bang! The ancient Toad King fell, making a huge noise. But it was just a noise, and that noise seemed like it was far away when it reached Ling Chen's ears, with the accompaniment of a howling roar. His body did not have the sensation of being hit, but it was more like he was picked up, and carried off at an astonishing speed. Ling Chen opened his eyes, and realized his body was being transported quickly by something. He turned his head and was surprised to see the figure of a small person. It was definitely the figure of a person. And the thing that was holding onto him was definitely a hand. A person. How can this place have people? The wind howling by his ears told Ling Chen how fast he was going, and this person, with one arm holding onto him, could still travel at this terrifying speed. This speed was that of a race car in real life. How could it possibly be a person? Moreover, this person saved him from the ancient Toad King from before. This person. Ling Chen wanted to ask something loudly, but was traveling too quickly and couldn't speak when he opened his mouth. Who knew how long it was before the howling in his ears died down, and Ling Chen could get a breath of air, and feel his whole body relax. The person that was holding onto him immediately threw him onto the ground with a pang. Ling Chen fell heavily but quickly stabilized, and got up holding one hand against the wall, looking at the person who just rescued him. It was really a person. Small in stature, thin, with messy patches of gray hair and beard on his head and face. He was covered in raggedy clothes. His whole body, including his face, was covered in greasy dirt, like he had just climbed out of a swamp, and he was also letting off a foul odor. With dirt covering his entire face, leaving only the eyes recognizable, but in this moment, these eyes were letting off a sense of excitement, like a wolf that was eyeing off a fat sheep. But meeting this person, Ling Chen was even more excited, as he had just saved his life. Even though he was unable to see what he looked like clearly, he could recognize that this was a relatively old person. He took a step forward and was about to say something when the old man suddenly rushed him first, yelling like a musket going off. "Hey, boy, you dare provoke that smelly toad, do you not want to live? Good thing you met me. TCH, little ol, me has been here for so many years, and I've finally bumped into another human. All these years I've been here incredibly alone and bored. Oh right, boy, you seem young, and you also aren't emitting any evil auras, and your strength is trash even amongst trash. How did you end up here? Unless you suffered the same fate as I did after you offended that 3 bitches from the Moon God clan?" Looking at his speed from before, it definitely showed that this old man's actual strength was actually terrifying. But his speech and stance did not reflect the status of his power. He had crooked teeth and danced for joy, his eyes moving left and right while looking at Ling Chen. When he said his last sentence, he unexpectedly shouted, 3 bitches from the Moon God clan. This old man definitely looked insane. Little master, be careful of this person. There aren't many humans who have been sealed into this place, but each one of them are definitely ferocious and not the friendly kind. This person seems to have been here a long time and has not died, so his strength is to be feared. Moreover, the mental toll that this place has, even on someone with formidable mental fortitude, would also cause their mind to eventually collapse. Given the words and actions of this person, it's possible that he has already lost his mind. And a person who has lost his mind is capable of anything. Yu reminded. Ling Chen nodded, and opened his mouth. Old man, thanks for saving me, what? Old man, hearing what Ling Chen had called him, the old man jumped around like a monkey, and scolded, you're the old man. Your whole family are old men. Do I really look that old? Huh. Ling Chen just grinned and took it, this old man must really be insane. It's no wonder, staying in a place like this for so long, there was no way to maintain mental balance. He just said politely, what should I call you then? The old man curled his lip in disdain, older brother of course, brother got it. Younger brother is good too. Do not call me old man again, or I'll curse you to live a life as an old man. Young people these days, no manners and don't even know convention. Come on, call me brother. Seeing that this old man was mentally unstable, he felt sorry for him. After all, he had saved his life, so he endured it. He braced himself and called out, brother. Yeah. That's the way. The old man nodded with contentment, kid, you didn't tell me, how did you end up here? No matter how I look, you don't seem the type to get thrown in here. Tut, but your complexion is so fair, and your face is so handsome and clear. I know, it must be that those 3 bitches from the Moon God clan caught you hundreds of times to satisfy themselves and were afraid that you would leak information about them, so they threw you in here? Ling Chen really wanted to spit in this man's face. It was like this: I accidentally entered a transportation channel and was transmitted here. I was not thrown in here by the Moon God clan. Ling Chen said truthfully. What? The old man jumped up again, looked at him curiously. You were casually transmitted to this damned place. Is your judgment that bad? Did your ancestors not pass you information about this place? You should have known about this damned place from a young age. Let me tell you, this is the most dangerous place in the world. In the many years I've been here, so many people have entered, but I'm the only one still alive. The monsters in here I may not be able to defeat, but if I want to escape, no one can catch me. Owl, no point in talking about this. Even if you want to leave, you can't. Now that I look at you, you look like a decent fellow. Relax, it's very unusual for a person to come in, so I will definitely protect you. Hey, don't look at me like I'm a god. Back then, the people who worshipped me were countless. I don't need another one. Ling Chen endured, and endured and endured again, making himself keep a calm expression, and then asking, "Older brother, have you been here for a long time?" You're lucky, boy, asking a good question like this. Till today, I've been here for exactly 1,000 years. The old man said with his crooked mouth. 1,000 years? Ling Chen's heart skipped a beat. He had been sealed in here for 1,000 years and still wasn't dead. This person was not just the average kind of strong. A normal person, even if they lived in a peaceful world, didn't live past 100 years old. The old man pulled Ling Chen to sit down next to him, throwing question after question, giving Ling Chen no time to respond. Moreover, it was not like Ling Chen could answer these questions anyway. He had never been to the Forgotten City. The Night Demon clan was something he had heard about when he was in the novice village, and in regards to the 3 moon goddesses, they were gods. He had no way to come into contact with them. So even after listening to the old man ramble for ages, he still didn't know what to say. Speak, boy. The old man started to become impatient, whacking Ling Chen on the back. All these questions you've asked, I don't know how to answer, Ling Chen said helplessly. Hey, the old man jumped up. Boy. I saved your life, and you aren't willing to tell me anything? Humph. I get it, you want to keep the secrets. The old man said with disdain. The hell you keeping secrets for, huh? Do you know where you are right now? I'm telling you, now that you're here there is no way in all of eternity that you're leaving. You'd be dreaming to even find someone to tell these things to. What's stopping you from telling me? See, now that I'm your brother, after all these years of having no one to talk to, I'm willing to tell you anything, even what color underwear my wife likes to wear. Wait, I don't think I have a wife. Ling Chen was getting a headache, saying with the sincerest tone possible, it's not that I want to keep secrets, but the questions you're asking, I really don't know the answers. I haven't been to the Forgotten City, and I've never come into contact with the 3 moon goddesses before. TSK, boy, do you think you can get a lie past Big Brother? The old man didn't believe him, then rolling his eyes, suddenly his face broke into a wide smile as he said, He, boy, you've forced my hand. I didn't want to do this, but you won't tell me anything, I'll have to force you to. The voice of the man suddenly changed, and on his face was an unwavering smile. As he spoke, he started rubbing 2 of his fingers together expertly. This action made Ling Chen worried, and asked, wide-eyed, what are you doing? I really don't know about any of those things. It doesn't matter, seeing as you'll be telling me everything soon. He, check out my deity curse. After he spoke, the old man grinned, his mouth slightly moving as he muttered something and a glint appeared in his eyes. Most people would have been unable to see the glint in the old man's eyes, and even if they looked really carefully for it, they would not notice it. However, Ling Chen could see it very clearly, and it was because of this flash that he felt a little dizzy, but this feeling he was all too familiar with. Back when he was in heaven, he would receive terrifying shocks and stimulations to his consciousness, which were far greater than the one he was currently experiencing. And so, when he felt this dizziness, he instantly became more vigilant, and with his training, he was able to use his mental energy to shake off this feeling and regain his sharp-mindedness. The time during which he felt the dizziness was brief, less than 1/10 of a second. Other than that, nothing else happened to him. He stared at the old man, and realized that his smile was getting wider and wider. He looked at the old man suspiciously, asking, "What are you trying to do? I told you I really don't know anything. I had only arrived at Mystic Moon less than a month ago." Ah! When Ling Chen said these words, it generated an exaggerated reaction from the old man. It was like he had been pricked by a needle as he jumped back, and stared at him in disbelief. You, how can you speak normally? I clearly just used my deity curse." "What curse?" Ling Chen was speechless as he stared at this crazy old man. Deity curse? This was a kind of name only a fool would think of. The old man pulled at his hair, and then muttered aloud, "Impossible, this is impossible. Could it be that it has been too many years? No, even if I forget how to eat and take a dump, there is no way I would forget this. Could it be that this kid, no way. This kid can't even kill a big chicken, how could his mental energy be stronger than mine? The problem definitely didn't come from there." The old man raised his head, and stared at him again, saying, "Utter despair curse." The old man's eyes flashed once again, and at the same time, Ling Chen felt that same dizziness again. However, like before, just as quickly as it appeared, Ling Chen's formidable mental energy extinguished it, so it didn't affect him at all. It all happened so quickly that he didn't even realize what had happened. I asked, "What are you trying to do?" Ling Chen was getting impatient. The old man's eyes widened even further in shock. "This is absolutely impossible. There's definitely something wrong." The old man was off talking to himself again. He then stared at Ling Chen again, saying more weird phrases. Total recklessness curse. Complete cold-heartedness curse. Wailing and howling curse. Scaredy cat curse. To Ling Chen, this old man was clearly mentally deranged. He was jumping up and down like a monkey, staring straight at him, and calling out phrases that made no sense. After yelling out 10 or so of these phrases, Ling Chen could only stare helplessly at his insanity. However, there actually was something affecting his consciousness, but this effect was so short that it didn't have any lasting effect on him. He wondered why he was getting short spells of dizziness. Could it be that there was not enough oxygen in the air in this place? Ha, one more time. Deity curse, the old man's voice was getting hoarse, as he shouted out the phrase that he shouted the first time. Ling Chen started to feel somewhat sorry for the old man. Being able to survive in this place for a millennium, he must have been some famous person in the Forgotten Continent in the past. What Qiyu said was right though, no matter who ended up here, they would end up changing from the person they once were. The slight dizziness came back once more, but Ling Chen withstood the feeling with his mental energy and he shook his head and cleared his mind. At this moment, the old man suddenly stood still, his limbs pointing in different directions, just staring at him. The old man had finally quietened down, but this seemed even more strange to Ling Chen. He took a step forwards, and asked tentatively, "What happened? Are you okay?" After he finished speaking, he saw the old man's eyes light up, and start filling up with tears. That's right, he had started tearing up, and looking at the expression on his face, these were tears because he was incredibly moved, like someone finding their long-lost son. The old man moved in a flash and appeared before Ling Chen, putting his hands before Ling Chen, kneeling before him and with his eyes filled with tears he looked at Ling Chen. Then. It looked like the old man was looking at a god, and he emotionally said, I never thought that I would be able to meet you in such a hopeless place. You are like a dazzling ray of light in this boundless darkness that shines through my whole body, warming my soul. You look like a bright moon in the boundless night sky, dimming all the stars with your light. You are like a flower on sheep dump, blooming proudly, to rule over the world. Your appearance, your sound, your frown, your smile is noble, your fart makes the air 10,000 miles around you sweet. To be able to run into you in such a place, I am most honored. This life is fulfilled. Even if I were to die now, it would be okay. Woo woo woo. I really am so moved, so moved. The moved old man started to cry, and his nose started running as he cried. His whole body was filled with emotion as his tears fell onto Ling Chen's shoes. Ling Chen was sweating, and was considering whether he should turn and run, but at the same time he said in his mind, Qiyu, you were right, this guy is crazy. Should I get away from him? Qiyu, can you not give me an opinion? This man is obviously very strong, even though he just saved me. If he went crazy and wanted to kill me, with his speed, even if I had 100 lives I'd never escape. After waiting what seemed like half a day for Qiyu to respond, Ling Chen spoke again. Your nobility makes me feel inferior, your dignity crushes my heart, the teeth from your mouth at the most beautiful pearls in the world, the mud of your shoe is so magnificent, worth more than precious metals by thousands of times, and in the moment Ling Chen was reaching his limit, Qiyu finally spoke, and said something strange, this person isn't crazy. Isn't crazy? Isn't this crazy? He isn't crazy. Right now, he's affected by his own Feng curse as it was reflected. Qiyu replied. Feng curse? Reflected? What does this mean? Ling Chen asked with surprise. Because, little master, your mental energy is too strong, so his Feng curse doesn't affect you. Moreover, his deity curse was reflected by your superior mental energy. Right now he isn't crazy, but under the effects of the deity curse. Qiyu spoke calmly, but Ling Chen could still detect a sense of shock in her voice. I never thought that the Feng curses, which even the Moon God clan were wary of and caused countless experts to run in fear, still existed in this world. Qiyu began to explain, Feng murdering heart curses, or Feng curses in short, are a mysterious type of curse that can truly murder one's heart. The Feng murdering heart curses originated from the ancient Feng sect, and its founder was the infamous hatred sage of the 3 sages of the Night Demon clan. In every generation, there is only one successor to the Feng sect, and the Feng curses are the sect's primary ability. The successors of the Feng sect usually have very weak fighting power, but even the most powerful beings in the Forgotten Continent are fearful of the Feng sect successors. Back then, the Feng sect had 2 abilities that everyone knew of, one of which were the Feng murdering heart curses. The Feng curses use one spirit to attack and overpower another person's spirit. However, they are different to normal mind control, spirit control and puppeteering skills. Once a Feng curse is used, the target will be completely willing to do inconceivable things. Surely little master understands how terrifying these curses are now. You see, this old man's Feng curse was countered by you, so he is the one being affected by it instead. The curse he just tried to use on you is called the deity curse. If it worked on you, you'd be on your knees, thinking that you were worshipping some sort of god. Ling Chen, holy shit, you've got to be kidding, right? If he did something like what the old man was doing now, he probably wouldn't have the dignity to live anymore. Ling Chen shuddered, and suddenly understood why Qiyu said that even the most powerful beings are fearful of those from the Feng sect. The more powerful one was, the more famous they were bound to be. They could accept being defeated, or even killed, but if they were to do something so shameful in front of others, What's even more terrifying is that normal spirit attacks consume an incredibly great amount of spirit, making it impossible to use them more than a few times in a row. However, Feng Chen curses only expend a tiny bit of spirit each use. The consumption rate is so low, that the closest comparison would be like how much energy a person spends breathing. Qiyu continued to recite all that she knew about the Feng Chen sect. The people of the Feng Chen sect have always acted in an unrestrained way, and don't care about any rules or laws. They've never joined any factions, but instead like to float around carefree and unfettered, doing whatever they want. TLN, from the context in Chinese here, Feng Chen pretty much means carefree, relaxed, etc., kinda like Xiao. People of the Feng Chen sect have never been much of fighters, but no one has ever dared to become enemies with the Feng Chen sect even though, at most, there are only 2 people in the sect at any given time. Moreover, the reason that there is only 1 successor per generation is not because they wanted to restrict the growth of the sect, but rather because it's simply too rare to find someone who's qualified. One of the requirements is for the person to have an incredibly strong spirit. Only 1 out of 10 million or even 100 million might be able to fulfill such a requirement. As such, whenever a successor is found, it is always a momentous occasion for the Feng Chen sect. After all, every generation faces the possibility of not being able to find a successor, resulting in the Feng Chen sect disappearing forever. Qiyu's words caused Ling Chen to become incredibly curious about this Feng Chen sect. So this old man, he's from the Feng Chen sect, that's right. Before, he was acting completely crazy, but that's how most people of the Feng Chen sect are. They do whatever they want, and do not restrain themselves or hide anything. Little master, you should ask him about his background, as well as why he was sealed here. After getting hit by the deity curse, he sees you as a god, so he'll answer any question you ask. Oh. Ling Chen nodded, then walked forwards and tentatively asked. You, what's your name? I'm called Xiao. Feng Chen. Xiao meaning Xiao, Feng meaning Feng and Chen meaning Chen. TLN, the original joke in Chinese is way better, but language barriers make it impossible to translate and keep it funny. I'm the only person in the Feng Chen sect at the moment. Hearing the question from Ling Chen, the old man immediately replied earnestly, as if afraid that he would upset this deity. Xiao Feng Chen. Feng Chen sect. It seemed that Qiyu was right in saying that this old man was from the Feng Chen sect. Ling Chen continued to ask, why were you locked up in here? I was put in here because, just as Xiao Feng Chen was halfway through his sentence, he suddenly stopped speaking, and his tears also stopped flowing. His expression immediately changed, and stood up with a swish, looking at Ling Chen with incredibly wide eyes. Crap, it seems that the deity curse's effects have worn off. Qiyu said. Why you? Xiao Feng Chen pointed at Ling Chen, his expression extremely comical. Ling Chen quickly took 2 steps back. The old man had done something so shameful in front of him, perhaps he was so ashamed that he would resort to killing Ling Chen. After being frozen like that for a few seconds, Ling Chen saw Xiao Feng Chen swallow a big mouthful of saliva as he blurted out, "WWWW, what's your name?" Ling Tian. Ling Chen replied. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew by, and Xiao Feng Chen was suddenly in front of him. 2 incredibly dirty hands clasped onto Ling Chen's clothes, and before Ling Chen could react, the old man's face was only about 20 centimeters away from his own. At such a close distance, Ling Chen could clearly see the tears running down the old man's face. The heavens are smiling on me. The heavens are smiling on me. Still clutching on to Ling Chen, the old man began to roar out in joy, covering Ling Chen with spit. By now, his face was covered with his tears. 1,700 years. A whole 1,700 years. I've walked across the entire forgotten continent, dreaming that I'd find my successor. Before finding a successor, I couldn't die even if I wanted to. Even though I was trapped in this damn place, I didn't dare to die, otherwise, my Fengchen sect would come to ruins because of me. But now, look what I've found. I've found a little monster who can counter my deity curse. Ling Chen was almost about to pass out from the old man's stench. However, the old man was gripping his clothes way too tightly, so Ling Chen could only curse inwardly. After yelling out, Xiao Fengchen looked him in the eyes, excitedly asking, "Boy, be my disciple. If you become my disciple, I'll let you have the most powerful ability in the whole world. When the time comes, no matter if you are having affairs, sexually harassing young girls, seducing MILFs, you'll always be successful. Quick, accept me as your master, otherwise you'll lose this opportunity. Quick, quick, quick." Ling Chen was completely caught off guard by the old man's reaction. "What? You don't want to? Oh, right, with such a strong spirit, how could you accept me as your master? All right. I'll be your disciple." Xiao Fengchen crashed down on his knees and kowtowed towards Ling Chen. "As long as you become the successor to the Fengchen sect, let alone disciple, I'd even be your grand disciple, disciple's disciple." "The hell?" Ling Chen quickly pulled him up. Xiao Fengchen was simply inconceivable. While pulling him up, Ling Chen quickly said, "That wasn't what I meant. It's just that, you should ask him first why he was locked up in here." Qi Yu reminded him. Ling Chen nodded, and changed the topic. "It's just that I just met you, and it's the first time I've heard of this Fengchen sect. It's impossible for me to just accept you as my master so suddenly." Xiao Fengchen stared at him, then knocked on his own head. Right. Right. I was so excited that I forgot about all that." Boy, no. Ling Tian, bro, what I said was true. If you accept me as your master, and inherit the power from the Fengchen sect, with your terrifying spirit, in less than 30 years, no, 5 years, you'll be able to dominate the entire Forgotten Continent. Even those 3 bitches from the Moon God clan would have to tread carefully around you. No expert, whether they're gods, demons, beasts, would amount to anything before you." "Really?" Ling Chen smirked. "Well, if it's so powerful, then why would you be locked in such a place? God damn." Hearing that Ling Chen was undermining the Fengchen sect, Xiao Fengchen became enraged. He stared at Ling Chen. That was because of an accident. An accident. Even now, I still feel angry when I think back to that incident. If I had been a little more careful, and not laughed so hard that I was in stitches, I definitely wouldn't have been imprisoned by those 3 bitches. Laughed so hard, that he was in stitches? Ling Chen's facial muscles tightened. What sort of excuse was that? Back then, about 1,000 years ago, those 3 from the Moon God clan found me and said that I had an orb that didn't belong to me, and told me to give it to them. Pushed, they think they can just fart a few times and I'll just give them whatever they want. So since I was pretty unhappy about that, I used a lovey-lovey curse on the moon goddesses called Order and Fate, and then, aha ha. As if he could see the scene in front of him, Xiao Fengchen began to laugh uproariously, laughing so hard that he bent over and leaned back over and over again. He suddenly stopped laughing, and continued talking in a serious tone. "Yep, that's how I laughed back then. I was laughing so hard that I wasn't even breathing, and choked. The one called Freedom used something to restrain me, and after the other 2 recovered, they threw me in here. If it wasn't because I was laughing so hard, how could those 3 even hope to catch me?" Xiao Fengchen rubbed his nose. "As long as you join the Fengchen sect, and learn the Fengchen curses, you'll understand. When the time comes, you can mess with whomever you want." Xiao Fengchen then pitifully looked at Ling Chen. "Ling Tian bro, please join my Fengchen sect. I swear on my handsomeness that if you join my Fengchen sect, you'll be the unrivaled in the whole Forgotten Continent." "Well, little master. Quickly agree. He's not exaggerating at all. Wherever people of the Feng Chen sect go, peerless experts all quickly flee. This is a completely true saying. There are countless people who want to learn the Feng Chen curses, but are not qualified. However, with Little Master's powerful spirit, learning the Feng Chen curses will be extremely easy. Plus, apart from the rule that they must find a successor before they die, the people of the Feng Chen sect are not restrained by any rules. Whether they use their powers for good or evil does not matter. There are not any obligations, tasks or quests that you have to complete, so there are absolutely no downsides to you agreeing to his request. Quickly agree to him, Little Master. Qiyu hurriedly nagged Ling Chen inside his mind. Qiyu was very clear as to what sort of existence the Feng Chen sect was. She was simply in awe of Ling Chen's luck. She had thought that the Feng Chen sect had disappeared over the ages, but who would have thought there was a sect member right here in the lunar sky hell? Although it was impossible to leave here, it would still be good for him to learn the Feng Chen curses. Since Qiyu seemed so eager for him to accept, Ling Chen had no reason to reject this offer. Moreover, looking at the old man in front of him, Ling Chen was certain that he would not give up until Ling Chen gave in. As such, Ling Chen nodded, "All right, since you're so earnest, and you saved me, I'll join your Feng Chen sect." "Ah, really?" Xiao Feng Chen's eyes shone, and his spit flew out as he yelled out. If Ling Chen had not dodged in time, his entire face would have been covered in spit again. Xiao Feng Chen jumped up and down excitedly like a child as he shouted, "Yahoo, awesome, awesome! My Feng Chen sect finally has a successor. I can finally die in peace. Ahahaha, I've searched for 1,700 years. 1,700 years. Ha, ha, ha ha ha." Xiao Feng Chen was so overjoyed that he was speechless, and could only alternate between laughing and crying. His emotions were completely genuine, and his tears were definitely real. Although the sentence, "I can finally die in peace," sounded almost comical, it made Ling Chen feel a bit uncomfortable inside. After all, Xiao Feng Chen had begged him to learn this set of overpowered skills, and only Ling Chen had benefited. Come to think of it, ever since Xiao Hui had joined him, he had been incredibly lucky, well, apart from landing in lunar sky hell. After Xiao Feng Chen regained his composure, he wiped away his tears, then walked over. "Ling Tian, to be able to find a successor was my greatest wish, and now that I've completed that, I have no regrets. Even though I can never leave here, I've found a successor. As for the next successor, that's your problem. Now, let me get rid of the crap profession you have right now." "Cancel my profession?" Ling Chen was shocked. "What do you mean?" "What do I mean?" Xiao Feng Chen grinned. "Every person can only have one profession, don't you know this? If you have another profession, you can't have the Feng Chen sect profession, so quickly let me get rid of that profession for you. In front of the Feng Chen sect's power, everything else is rubbish. So if I don't cancel my current profession, I can't learn the Feng Chen curses?" Ling Chen asked. "Of course. Surely you can't be so dumb that you can't even understand the basics." Ling Chen's expression changed as he frowned. His current profession came from the strongest war god in the Forgotten Continent 1,000 years ago. It wasn't something that he could easily give up. Back then, he had survived many dangers to finally obtain this profession, and had named it after himself. Over all this time, he had invested a great amount of time and SP, gradually strengthening this profession. Moreover, right now, although this war god's profession was still in its weakest stage, it was still incredibly powerful. It was many, many times more powerful than normal professions, and its potential was unlimited. He definitely couldn't accept just giving up this profession so easily. Is it true that the Feng Chen sect's profession doesn't have any actual battle power? Remembering Qiyu's introduction to the Feng Chen sect, Ling Chen asked Xiao Feng Chen in a serious tone. "It's not that it's non-existent, but that it's very weak. I've cultivated for almost 2,000 years, and I've only had a bit of achievements in actual fighting. I'm not going to teach you because it's pretty much useless." Xiao Chen casually replied. Oh, in that case, I take back what I said before. I'm not joining the Feng Chen sect. Ling Chen directly said. What? Xiao Chen couldn't believe what he was hearing. He spluttered, why you, right now, I have a very strong battle profession, and I refuse to give it up. If giving up on this profession is absolutely necessary to join the Feng Chen sect, then I'd rather not join. Ling Chen truthfully replied. It wasn't just an issue with his profession, but he had skills like Heaven Wind technique, item manipulation technique, soul sacrifice and soul demise, which would all be completely useless if he was not of a battle profession. At the same time, Ling Chen knew exactly how powerful the war god's profession was, but the Feng Chen sect's profession, he had only heard the introductions by Xiao Chen and Qi Yu. There was simply too much risk involved. If he could have both, then he would be overjoyed. However, if he was forced to choose one, his decision would definitely be the Ling Tian battle soul. Seeing that his prey was about to escape, Xiao Chen was so worried that he began to start jumping up and down. Battle profession, battle profession. I've already told you that all battle professions are nothing compared to our Feng Chen sect. He gnashed his teeth. I've been in the lunar sky hell for 1,000 years, and there have been many humans sent here apart from me. Out of the 20 or 30 or so of them, all of them were incredibly powerful. Some of them could even easily defeat that big toad from before. If it was a normal battle, I wouldn't be able to beat a single one of those people. However, only I'm alive out of all of the humans sent here. None of them could survive even 1 year. So how could I survive here for 1,000 years? Because the Feng Chen sect's power is goddamn strong. If I was like the others and had a battle profession, I would have died a long time ago. You think you're even stronger than those who can easily beat monsters of the Heaven's End grade? Hearing this, Ling Chen was unable to make any rebuttals. He curiously asked, are the Feng Chen curses really that strong? Let me tell you though, the Feng Chen curses only work on humans, deities, humanoid demons, humanoid beasts, fairies and dwarves. They are effective on humans and other types of humanoids, but not monsters or evil spirits. But do you think my Feng Chen sect only has the Feng Chen curses? Ling Chen suddenly remembered what Qi Yu had said before. The Feng Chen sect had 2 abilities that everyone knew of. One was the Feng Chen curses, and the other was... What's the other ability? Ling Chen asked. Running away. Xiao Chen proudly said as he patted his chest. Ling Chen, that's right. Running away. You still remember how I saved you, right? If I want to run, there's no one under the heavens who can catch up to me. Who cares if they're super strong? If I run and leave them in the dust, what use is their strength? That's right, it's because of this ability I've been able to survive in here for over 1,000 years. If you learn this ability, in 10 to 20 years, you'll be able to walk around in here with no worries at all. Ling Chen thought back to when he was rescued by Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's speed was completely outside of his expectations, and seemed to be as fast as wind, or even lightning. It was a speed that humans shouldn't be able to achieve. Indeed, with such a speed, one would be unparalleled in running away. However, unable to fight and only being able to run away, no matter how good one was at running away, in the end, it was simply just running away. The Feng Chen curses seem to be a form of mental attack, and should thus be used stealthily. Although powerful skills that could be used secretly were indeed useful, but they simply could not match up to the thrill and exhilaration one experienced when fighting openly with their life on the line. Moreover, only with strong fighting power could he protect those he wanted to protect. Thinking to hear, Ling Chen became resolved. Perhaps it's because our viewpoints are different, but I don't want to give up on my current profession. Boy, why are you so dumb, arg? Seeing that Ling Chen's answer had gone from agreeing to adamantly disagreeing, Xiao Chen nearly went crazy. He pulled on his hair and scratched at his face. Clearly, he was very, very annoyed. Seeing Xiao Chen's reaction, Ling Chen continued to talk. Well, it's not like we can leave, so it doesn't really matter if I join or not, right? What the hell are you talking about? Can you really not understand? Xiao Chen was furious. Boy, you've lived for 30 years at most, whereas I've lived for more than 2,000 years. Do you think that you're wiser than me? All battle professions are like crap in front of my Feng Chen sect. Alright, let's not talk about running away. Even if I was to fight someone 100 times stronger than myself, all it would take is one scaredy cat curse and they'd be wetting themselves, running away from me. Apart from my Feng Chen sect, who else would be capable of such a thing? Io, my bro, my dear father, my precious ancestor, let me cancel your current profession. I'll promise you anything that you definitely won't regret it. I'm sorry, but I really can't give up my current profession. Ling Chen said as he looked at the pitiful Xiao Chen. Arg! How many times do I have to say it for you to understand? With your current profession, how long do you think you could survive in here? Why you, if you inherit my Feng Chen sect's power, you won't have to worry at all about surviving in here. Xiao Chen shouted. He had decided that no matter what, he would convince this young man to join the Feng Chen sect. Otherwise, he would not be able to rest in peace. After searching for so long, he definitely wouldn't let this potential successor run off. Alright, even if you don't appreciate the power of my Feng Chen sect, then at least fulfill this old man's final will. I mean, we're stuck in here forever, anyways, so it's pointless to keep that profession. Ling Chen shook his head. No, I'll definitely escape from here. Where there's a will, there's a way. Someday, I'll definitely find a way out. Xiao Chen curled his lips. This is a place that the Moon God clan seals the worst monsters and spirits, ones that are more powerful than you by more than 10,000 times. If none of them could escape, what makes you think that you can escape? But I have to admit you're right, usually where there's a will, there's a way. However, in this situation, you don't just need will, you need something else as well, something that even the lunar sky hell cannot seal. However, that sort of thing would never appear in here, so it's impossible to leave. Something that the lunar sky hell can't seal? What is it? Ling Chen walked forwards and hurriedly asked. Xiao Chen smirked. You're not part of my Feng Chen sect, so why should I tell you? Plus, even if I tell you, there's no use at all. Do you think it's something so ordinary that even you would have it? Io, just have pity on this poor old man and just join the freakin' Feng Chen sect. Qiyu, do you know what the something that even the lunar sky hell can't seal is? Ling Chen asked in his mind. Qiyu thought for a while, but could only respond in the negative. I have no idea. For something like this to exist that even I don't know about, it must be incredibly rare. How about? I'll be your disciple? Or your peer? As long as you join the Feng Chen sect, I'll even be your son if you want me to. After begging for such a long time, and being rejected again and again, the old man's patience seemed to be wearing thin. Xiao Chen clutched onto Ling Chen's clothing and furiously shook him, nearly dislocating many bones. Ling Chen expended much effort on getting him off, and tried to explain, it's not that I don't want to join, it's just that. It's just that what? My Feng Chen sect is the best profession in the world. Even though the Feng Chen sect has disappeared from the Forgotten Continent for 1,000 years or so, but if you go out and mention the Feng Chen sect, I'll guarantee you that there are still people who remember. Why? Because my Feng Chen sect's goddamn strong. There were so many people hundreds and thousands of times stronger than you begging to become my disciple, but I just wouldn't accept them, so why are you so adamant on refusing? Alright, what's it going to take to convince you? As long as you agree, I'll agree to any of your requests. How about this? If you join, I'll give everything I have on me to you. Ah, that's right, this is the most valuable treasure of the Feng Chen sect that the founder, the hatred sage, of the 3 sages of the Night Demon clan, left behind. the evil god's mask. This is something even more valuable than my life. If you join, then this evil god's mask will be yours. While talking, Xiao Fengchen somehow pulled out an object shining with golden light. As soon as he saw it, Ling Chen felt that his gaze was stuck to it, and he was unable to pull his eyes away from it. It was a mask that emanated a noble, yet somewhat evil, dark golden light. It was incredibly large, and could cover both the front, as well as sides of one's face. There were only 2 holes on the mask for the wearer's eyes to look through. There were many complicated patterns on the surface of the mask, and there were many golden spikes of differing lengths and shapes stuck into it. Near the top of the mask, on both the left and right sides, were 2 spikes like golden lightning, about half a meter long, pointing backwards. The mask looked incredibly strange and terrifying, but it was even more so dominating and overbearing. Evil God's Mask. Ling Chen heard Qiyu gasp in shock. How about it? This mask is pretty awesome, eh? Xiao Fengchen was very satisfied with Ling Chen's reaction. He immediately began to promote the mask like an experienced salesperson. This mask is the most valuable treasure of my Fengchen sect. Although it's a mask, but it's a Heaven's End grade mask. That's right, a Heaven's End grade mask. It's not that hard to find Heaven's End grade equipment in the Forgotten Continent, but to my knowledge, this is the only Heaven's End grade mask. This is the strongest mask in the world, and even though it's Heaven's End grade, it's even more valuable than some mysterious god grade equipment. Look at this mask, look at how cool it is. Do you know how many men would get jealous over seeing you wear this mask? What's more, it can save your life. With this mask, as well as my Fengchen sect's ability in running away, it'll be pretty much impossible to kill you. Back then, there were many experts who took great risks to steal this mask from us, but none of them were able to succeed. So? Do you want to join our Fengchen sect? If you do, this amazing, life-saving treasure will belong to you. This mask, as well as Xiao Fengchen's introduction to it, caused Ling Chen to be quite shocked. Currently, Ling Chen had 3 celestial grade equipment: Soaring Cloud Spear, Zephyr Blade and the Great Ravager. To be able to acquire so many celestial grade equipment in the early stages of the game was already ridiculous, and caused a great commotion among the player base. However, even he did not expect that he would have the chance to acquire a Heaven's End grade equipment so early on. Heaven's End grade equipment were 1 grade higher than celestial grade equipment, but their value and power were much greater. Such equipment would only appear in the late stages of the game, and even if an extremely ordinary player acquired a Heaven's End grade equipment, they would be able to dominate almost all other players. Although celestial grade equipment were strong, but they were not as game-breaking as Heaven's End grade equipment. Moreover, this wasn't any regular piece of equipment, but a mask. Masks were generally used to protect a player's identity, and were free in games. However, none of the masks Ling Chen had ever seen had bonus stats or effects. If this mask really did have special stats or effects, Ling Chen would have one more piece of equipment than every other player. Just like Xiao Fengchen said, although this was a Heaven's End grade mask, it was worth much more than normal mysterious god grade equipment. Moreover, this Heaven's End grade mask was right in front of him. As long as he nodded his head, this incredible mask would belong to him, and he would have an extremely powerful profession. With this sort of temptation, even if Ling Chen had a stone heart, his heart was still moved. To him, this mask was much more valuable than a profession that he knew very little about. Do you mind if I have a look at its stats first? Ling Chen asked as he rubbed his hands together. He clearly understood how powerful celestial grade equipment were, but this was the first time he had seen a legendary Heaven's End grade equipment before. Seeing the dark golden light radiating out from the terrifying and overbearing mask, Ling Chen could almost feel himself start salivating. Heaven's End, this was a Heaven's End grade equipment. Moreover, wearing this mask was 1,000 times more impressive than wearing that crappy tiger mask. Seeing the light in Ling Chen's eyes, Xiao Fengchen saw some hope. He quickly put the evil god's mask away, and said in a serious tone, "As long as you join my Fengchen sect, it'll be yours. When that time comes, you can do whatever you want with it, boil it, roast it, give it to someone else, throw it away, it'll all be up to you. What reason could you have to reject a Heaven's End grade mask?" Seeing your expression, I can already tell what your answer will be. Come, let me get rid of that crappy profession for you." This mask was incredibly tempting to Ling Chen, but he was still quite unwilling to give up on his Ling Tian battle soul. Ling Chen took a step back, and stood there in deep thought. What the hell? You're still not willing? Did you hit your head badly when you were young? Seeing that even the evil god's mask was not enough to convince Ling Chen, Xiao Fengchen almost became crazy. He alternated between jumping up and down, stomping his feet and tearing at his hair. Why you? I. My God. This. I'll also give this to you. Even though I don't know what it is, but it was because of this that those 3 bitches found me, it was because of this thing that I was locked up in here for 1,000 years. I'm sure that it's something special, so I never threw it away. If you join my Fengchen sect, I'll give, what's going on? Why's this thingy glowing? Within the darkness, a gentle white light that seemed incredibly warm appeared. The light came from the object Xiao Fengchen was holding in his right hand. It was an orb about the size of a ping-pong ball. From where Ling Chen was standing, he could see that there was a mark on the orb that resembled 2 arcs curving towards each other with a horizontal line connecting them. At the same time, the lunar scourge on Ling Chen's right wrist began to glow. The illusion hiding the lunar scourge disappeared, causing the lunar scourge to regain its original appearance. The glow of light on the lunar scourge began to flash at the same frequency as the orb in Xiao Fengchen's hand, as if they were calling out to each other. That's one of the lunar scourge's god orbs. Qi Yu yelled out in Ling Chen's mind. Her calling out was completely unnecessary. Ling Chen had long since concluded that this was definitely one of the lunar scourge's orbs. He immediately became excited. Ling Chen never expected that he would actually find one of the orbs in this sort of place. Quick! Little Master, immediately agree to Xiao Fengchen's request. Don't let this opportunity go. Based on the mark on the orb, that orb should be the Pisces orb. If you have the Pisces orb, you'll be able to receive Xiao Fengchen's profession, as well as keep the one you have now. The Pisces orb allows one to have an extra profession. Qi Yu quickly explained. Have an extra profession? Ling Chen's eyes widened. Although he knew that the lunar scourge's orbs were extremely powerful, but it was hard to believe that there could be such an overpowered effect. Dual wielding was an incredibly powerful skill, but having an extra profession, this was simply unbelievable. Since Qi Yu had told him this, what she had just said was probably true. Ling Chen stood with his hands behind his back, so as to prevent Xiao Fengchen from noticing the lunar scourge. He stepped forwards, and said to the emotional Xiao Fengchen, "All right, as long as you give me this orb and the evil god's mask, I'll join your Fengchen sect and become your disciple." Really? Xiao Fengchen, who was wondering why the orb had started to glow and flash, was exhilarated upon hearing this. He jumped almost 2 meters into the air, and yelled, "Really? Holy frick, you're not lying, right? No take-backs this time?" "Yep, really, no take-backs." Ling Chen nodded. Before, he had not kept his word because he didn't want to lose his Ling Tian battle soul. However, if he didn't have to get rid of his current profession, he had no objections to joining the Fengchen sect. "Boy, you're not very trustworthy. What if you change your mind again?" Although Xiao Fengchen was overjoyed, he didn't let down his guard. "Don't worry, this time I definitely won't change my mind." Good. Xiao Fengchen excitedly rubbed his hands together, then tossed the orb to Ling Chen. At the same time, he muttered to himself, "Looks like that orb was quite special. It seems that the boy only agreed because of the orb. Well, who cares what it is? I only got thrown in here because of that damn thing, so it's good that it's his now." After he finished talking to himself, he loudly exclaimed, "Ha! That orb is yours now. I'll help you get rid of that profession now, and after you've inherited the Feng sex profession, I'll give you the evil god's mask. Alright, let's get started." Xiao Feng looked extremely eager and impatient. However, Ling Chen ignored him, and looked at the orb's attributes: Pisces orb, type, energy orb, grade, mysterious god, equipment requirement, can only be slotted in the lunar scourge. Effects, allows the user to have a bonus 2 professions. Ling Chen. Although he was mentally prepared, when he actually saw the Pisces orb's attributes, his eyes widened. Just as Qiyu had said, the Pisces orb allowed one to have more professions, and it didn't just allow him to have a single extra profession, but 2 extra professions. After equipping the Pisces orb, Ling Chen would be able to have 3 professions. What effects would this have? Normally, every profession had its own characteristics. For example, berserkers specialized in attack, shield bearers specialized in defense, assassins specialized in speed and stealth, archers specialized in hit rate and range, etc. If a player could have 3 different professions, they would be able to benefit from the characteristics of 3 different professions. This was simply unbelievable. Every time he found a lunar scourge orb, Ling Chen would become incredibly excited, as every single orb was extremely powerful. Ling Chen exhaled slowly, and put his hands behind his back, stealthily putting the Pisces orb into its place in the 12th socket of the lunar orb. Ding! Pisces orb slotting successful. You can have an additional 2 professions. If the Pisces orb is removed, only 1 profession can remain active, the other 2 will temporarily become inactive. The hell? How do you expect me to give you this profession if you don't get rid of the one you have now? Can you be a bit more logical? Xiao Feng looked at Ling Chen as if he was an idiot. That only applies to normal people. Because my powerful mental energy, I'm able to have 2 professions at the same time. Ling Chen casually replied. Go screw your grandmother. Your grandpa here has never heard of something stupid like that. Even those 3 bitches from the Moon God clan wouldn't be able to have 2 professions, that would be way too powerful. Xiao Feng rebutted. He didn't believe Ling Chen at all. To be fair, no matter who Ling Chen said that to, whether it was a player or a resident of the Forgotten Continent, no one would believe him. Actually, if someone had told Ling Chen that same thing before he received the Pisces orb, he wouldn't believe them either. As such, Ling Chen could only helplessly reply, if you don't believe me, you can try and see for yourself. Try to pass on to me the Feng sex legacy without cancelling my current profession. If what I said is true, then I'll become your Feng sex successor. If I was lying, you can just cancel my profession then pass on the Feng sex power to me. There's nothing for you to lose. Seeing that Ling Chen was so calm, Xiao Feng looked at him suspiciously for a long time. He muttered to himself, could it really be that having incredible mental energy can let you have 2 professions? If that's true, then this brat is simply logic-defying. Alright, I'll give it a go then. Xiao Feng did not waste any words. He simply couldn't wait to pass on the Feng sex legacy. Now, stand properly and close your eyes. Ling Chen nodded, and closed his eyes. Xiao Feng didn't make any special movements. Instead, he also closed his eyes, and after about half a minute, he suddenly opened his eyes. When he did so, his eyes had become completely white, and his lips started to move, as if he was chanting something. He slowly stretched out his finger, and pressed it against Ling Chen's forehead. Ling Chen's body trembled, and felt that a mysterious flow of energy was entering his body from his forehead, filling up his mind. Xiao Feng Chen's eyes gradually became normal again. He stared at Ling Chen in complete shock. The transfer of the Feng Chen sect's power had gone completely smoothly, and had succeeded without any problems. However, he definitely hadn't cancelled Ling Chen's original profession. The only explanation was that what Ling Chen had said earlier was true, he really could have two professions at once. This kid was truly a super monster. Although he was still quite weak, with this kind of potential, his future was unlimited. Before, he only had a battle profession. But now, he also had the Feng Chen sect's power. Combining these two powers, he would be unrivaled. Thinking to hear, Xiao Feng Chen couldn't resist grinning. Because this brat was already part of his Feng Chen sect, it was just a pity that they could never leave from this damned place. However, he was still relieved that he had finally accomplished his life's greatest wish. From now on, he could live his life without any burdens. Even if he was to die in this lunar sky hell, he could do so without any regrets. After a few minutes, when the transfer of the Feng Chen sect's power had been completed, Xiao Feng Chen lowered his arm and took 2 steps back, staring at Ling Chen. Ling Chen's eyes also opened, and he heard a system announcement. Ding, you have accepted the legacy of the Feng Chen sect, and have become a Feng Chen curse Zanni, Constitution plus 20, Agility plus 30, Spirit plus 50, Basic Skills, Feng Chen Technique, Broken Shadow, Acquired Unique Feng Chen Curses, Complete and Utter Belief Curse, Lovey Curse, I'm a Sheep Curse. TLN, Zanni, https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Zanni, Ding, because of your pet Xiao Hui's skill, Holy Spirit's gift, Feng Chen Technique, Broken Shadow, have leveled up to LV3. After successfully receiving the legacy of the Feng Chen sect, Ling Chen now had 2 professions. He immediately opened his stats page, and looked at his stats. The Ling Tian Battle Soul profession was still there, but next to it was also, Feng Chen Curse Zanni. The Pisces orb was simply amazing. Ha 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 ha. After seeing Ling Chen's reaction, Xiao Feng Chen was certain that the passing on of the legacy had succeeded. Good. Good. My Feng Chen sect finally has a successor. Awesome. Ha ha ha. I have finally repaid the Feng Chen sect and my deceased master. Ling Tian, you should be able to use some of the basic skills now, quickly try them out. You'll immediately know that becoming part of my Feng Chen sect was the right decision, ha ha ha. Feng Chen Curse Zanni, a profession given by Xiao Feng Chen, originating from the ancient evil sect Feng Chen sect. This profession has no attack power, but its abilities in running away are unparalleled. The core ability, Feng Chen Murdering Heart Curses, can stealthily attack the target's mind without them noticing or being able to defend against it, and is feared by countless people. Even the peerless experts in the Forgotten Continent who usually fear nothing quake when they hear the words, Feng Chen Curses. Profession bonus stats, Constitution plus 20, Agility plus 50, Spirit plus 50. Every time you level up, Agility plus 1 bonus and Spirit plus 1 bonus. Profession skills, Feng Chen Technique, current level, LV3, highest level, LV10, SP required to upgrade to LV4, 2600. A technique unique to the Feng Chen sect. After cultivating, the user's body will become incredibly light and nimble, as if they are riding on a gentle breeze. It is said that when cultivated to the peak, the user can use the winds to walk in the sky, and even falling from a cliff will not hurt them at all. Effects, movement speed plus 30, evasion plus 30%, can decrease falling speed by up to 30%, can be controlled. Broken Shadow, current level, LV3, highest level, LV5, SP required to upgrade to LV4, 12,000. One of the Feng Chen sect's ultimate escaping techniques. After activating, the user's body becomes like an illusory shadow, and will be almost impossible to stop or capture. Effects, movement speed plus 900%, evasion plus 900%, effects last for 20 seconds. Can be used 3 times per day. Ling Chen was already incredibly shocked by the Feng Chen technique at LV3, it already increased his movement speed by 30. That meant at LV10, it would increase his movement speed by 100, which was almost what normal players had as their base movement speed. Currently, there were only 2 professions that had passive skills which could raise one's movement speed. One was the archer professions, Gale Steps, which could add 20 movement speed at its maximum level, and the assassin professions, Rapid Shadow Technique, which could increase movement speed by 40 at its maximum level. However, this Feng Chen technique was much superior to both of these skills. As for the Broken Shadow skill, Ling Chen's jaw hit the floor when he saw it, and simply couldn't look away. Movement speed plus 900%. Ling Chen looked at the number again and again, and confirmed that what he was seeing was real. That's right, it was indeed a 900% increase to movement speed, which meant that once he activated it, his speed would increase to 10 times his base movement speed. With Ling Chen's base movement speed, using this skill would cause his overall movement speed to be above 1000. If he used it while riding on a mount, his movement speed would definitely be above 2000. That was simply absurd. No wonder Xiao Fengchen had boasted that his Fengchen sect was unparalleled in running away. Indeed, with this sort of speed, even a god wouldn't be able to catch up to them. Apart from the Lucky Cat's ridiculous throwing money away escape skill, this was the most powerful escape ability Ling Chen had ever seen. What's more, this skill belonged to him now. However, because he just received this skill, he could only use it for 20 seconds at a time, and could only use it 3 times per day. In total, he could only use it for 60 seconds per day. However, he was still satisfied with this. The other 3 skills had nothing to do with escaping, but were the Feng Chen curses that supposedly made peerless experts run away in fear. Ling Chen looked at them eagerly. Complete and Utter Belief Curse, low-level Feng Chen curse, can't be leveled up. Can be used on a target within the user's line of sight, and once hit, the victim will completely and utterly believe what the user says. The success rate is dependent on the difference in strength between the user and target's mental energy. The number of seconds the effect lasts for is equivalent to the user's comprehension stat. Costs 10 MP, cooldown time, 100 seconds. Lovey Curse, low-level Feng Chen curse, can't be leveled up. Can be used on 2 targets of the same or different gender within the user's line of sight, and once hit, the victims will be filled with surging desire for each other. The success rate is dependent on the difference in strength between the user and target's mental energy. The number of seconds the effect lasts for is equivalent to the user's comprehension stat. Costs 10 MP, cooldown time, 100 seconds. I'm a Sheep curse, low-level Feng Chen curse, can't be leveled up. Can be used on a target within the user's line of sight, and once hit, the victim will believe that they are a sheep. The success rate is dependent on the difference in strength between the user and target's mental energy. The number of seconds the effect lasts for is equivalent to the user's comprehension stat. Costs 10 MP, cooldown time, 100 seconds. Seeing the 3 Feng Chen curses in front of him, Ling Chen's expression became extremely comical. The 3 Feng Chen curses he had so far were only low-level Feng Chen curses, but they were enough to cause Ling Chen to become speechless, and he felt his whole body sweating as his heart rate sped up. Now, he finally understood why Qiyu said that countless experts were terrified of the Feng Chen curses. He had never seen such sinister, cruel and brutal skills before. Seeing Ling Chen's expression, Xiao Fengchen began to roar out in laughter. Well? So amazed that you can't speak, right? Ha 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 ha, now you know that joining the Feng Chen sect was the right decision, eh? Hee hee, you've only just become my successor, so you only have one of the weakest skills. However, even though it's one of the weakest skills, it'll still help you completely dominate everyone. As for running away, I'm sure I don't need to say anything about those skills. Come Come, let me see which curse you have. You should have been able to receive a curse from the power I gave you. Ling Chen sheepishly showed him the 3 curses he had received. What? 3? Holy frick. Xiao Feng was extremely shocked to see this, as expected of the little monster who was able to counter by deity curse. You actually received 3 curses from the beginning. Back then, it took me 3 years to unlock 3 curses. Not bad, not bad. With these 3 curses, as well as your absurd mental energy, you're going to be unstoppable. Xiao Feng's mood was terrific. Standing in front of Ling Chen, he began to enthusiastically explain, the 3 curses you've received are actually all very powerful curses. For the complete and utter belief curse, your victim will believe every single word you say. Even if you tell an old man that you're his father, he'll completely and utterly believe you. Of course, you could also tell them that their wife has been violated by some other person, or his son has fallen into a pile of crap, or even that he's a woman. Anyways, no matter what you tell him, he'll completely believe you. Anyone who dares to tell him otherwise, he'll be completely furious at them. As for the lovey-lovey curse, Xiao Feng gave a lecherous laugh. This curse is simultaneously used on 2 people. It doesn't matter if they're different genders or the same gender. They'll completely fall in love immediately, and will be filled with indescribable passion for each other. Once they're affected by the curse, nothing will be able to stop them as they display their overflowing passion and desire for each other. Even if the sky falls down, they won't stop. Xiao Feng rambled with a lascivious look on his face. Back then, I used this lovey-lovey curse on 2 of those moon goddesses. I'll never forget that scene of them desperately rubbing their breasts, asses and thighs together, those movements, those sounds, ha 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 ha. Ling Chen, to cause the renowned and revered moon goddesses to do such a thing. This guy was incredibly audacious. No wonder they threw him in this damn place. Come to think of it, if even these low-level Feng curses could affect even the 3 moon goddesses, then what would the truly powerful Feng curses be like? Last but not least, the I'm a sheep curse, also called the sheep curse. If you're not happy with someone, you can use this curse on him, and he'll believe that he's a sheep. What would he do? Act like a sheep, of course, crawl around on his arms and legs and bleat like a sheep, as well as eat some grass. Think about it, if some expert offended you, and you used this on him, then he won't be able to go out in public ever again. To be able to ruin an expert so easily, and to turn his entire life upside down with just a single skill, apart from my Feng sect, who's able to do such a thing? Say, my Feng sect, no, our Feng sect is super strong, right? Right? Strong, super strong. Ling Chen nodded. Indeed, this Feng sect's power was terrifyingly strong. Being strong is a must. Now, boy, if you can make it out of here, all you'll have to do is tell everyone that you're from the Feng sect for every expert to treat you with absolute respect. Xiao Feng gleefully said. However, even though your mental energy is ridiculously powerful, you've only just gained this power, so you need to wait a whole 100 seconds before you can use a curse again. After 100 or so years of training, you'll be able to use them as frequently as you want, and you'll have more powerful curses at your disposal as well. You need to be careful though, because the curses aren't guaranteed to be effective against your target. If their mental energy is stronger than yours, then your curse will likely fail, unless they're not mentally prepared. If their mental energy is especially strong, and they're prepared as well, your curse could even be countered back to you. Just like how my deity curse was countered back at me by you. Also, the Feng curses can fail or be detected not only if your target's mental energy is too strong, but also if their overall power is too strong as well. For example, even though you have incredibly strong mental energy, but if you tried to use the Feng curses on those 3 bitches, it definitely would have no effect. Ling Chen nodded, and committed these things to memory. But the prerequisite was that he could make it out of this damn place. Indeed, Unintentionally coming to the lunar sky hell resulted in him meeting the amazing Xiao Chen, unexpectedly receiving the Pisces orb and obtaining a powerful profession. Although he had suffered quite a bit, his gains were quite substantial. However, if he couldn't leave this place, what was the point of having all those things? So that's pretty much the uses for all the Feng Chen curses you have so far. Oh, by the way, how high's your comprehension? Xiao Chen suddenly asked. 12. Ling Chen replied. This value was already incredible for a player. Only 12? That's way too low. The number of seconds the Feng Chen curses will be effective for is dependent on your comprehension, you know. With a comprehension stat of 12, your curses will only last for 12 seconds. Moreover, just like other skills, with a higher comprehension stat, you'll be able to learn more Feng Chen curses, and have a greater chance at obtaining higher level Feng Chen curses. For example, the leveled up version of the complete and utter belief curse is the deity curse I tried to use on you before, and the leveled up version of the lovey curse is the love magnet curse, and once you use the love magnet curse, even if the target has an irreconcilable hatred with you, they'll fall madly in love with you instantly, All in all, if you want to have better curses and for them to be more effective, you'll need to greatly increase your comprehension. Ling Chen took this to heart, and started to ask something he had wanted to ask for a long time. Senior Xiao, you, senior? What senior? Didn't I tell you to call me Big Brother? Big Brother. Xiao Chen once again jumped up and down in fury. Big Brother Xiao, Ling Chen couldn't be bothered arguing with him. You said that there was something that even the lunar sky hell can't seal. What is it? Xiao Chen gave him a blank look, and shrugged. You still remember that? Well, those things can't be sealed even by this damn place. Let alone this place, there's nothing that can seal those things. However, it's pointless to even talk about it, not even me or my master have even seen one after spending many years looking for them. Legend says that there are less than 10 of them in the entire Forgotten Continent, and they never stay in the same place as they can move by themselves. Since they try to avoid living creatures, finding one is almost impossible, even for those 3 from the Moon God clan. As for you, don't even think about it. Never in the same place, can move by themselves. This thing seemed very similar to something he had. Ling Chen wouldn't give up. What is it exactly? Hurry up and tell me. If you don't even tell me what it is, how do you know I don't have it? Che, if you have it, then I'll cut off my head for you to use as a toilet. Xiao Chen smirked. Alright, it's called, something like space stone. That's right, spatial stone. Spatial stone? Ling Chen was so overjoyed that he almost jumped up. He actually did have a spatial stone. It was the one Xiao Hui had found, and he had personally dug out. TLN, Chapter 232. That's right, it seems like you've heard of it before. Ling Chen's reaction caused Xiao Chen to look at him strangely. Spatial stones contain the purest spatial energy in existence, and are completely different to methods that use force to open up a space to escape. The spatial energy they contain is able to ignore all barriers and seals, and even though it is normally impossible to escape from a place sealed by the Moon God clan, it is incredibly easy with a spatial stone. So you're saying that if we have a spatial stone, then we can leave here? Ling Chen excitedly asked. Of course. Using the spatial energy within it, we would be able to be transported somewhere else. As long as we can leave this damn place, no matter where I'm sent, it'll be impossible to trap me, or you. Looks like fate is smiling on you. Chi Yu sighed in admiration. Indeed, if this old guy really knows how to use the spatial stone, there is a possibility you too can leave. Ling Chen immediately took out a plain-looking, fist-sized stone from his bag and showed it to Xiao Chen. Big Brother Xiao, what do you think this is? Xiao Chen looked at the stone, then leapt into the air as if someone had kicked him from behind. His eyes widened to comical proportions, and he shrieked, "Spatial stone." That's right, it's a spatial stone. The thing that you said that could be used to escape from any place. Ling Chen tightly gripped the spatial stone, his heart pounding in excitement. Being trapped in here forever would be terrible. However, it seemed that his luck had really pulled through this time. The thing that Xiao Fengchen said was almost impossible to obtain was actually in his possession. Spatial stone. Spatial stone, it really is a spatial stone. Xiao Fengchen's whole body trembled, and his eyes were misty. He had been locked in there for a whole 1,000 years. This sort of dark, smelly, dangerous place filled with monsters was pretty much a real hell. Ling Chen had no idea how much he had endured in this place, and definitely wouldn't understand just how much this spatial stone meant to him. Every day he had dreamt a legendary spatial stone would fall down from the heavens. It really is a spatial stone. Spatial stone, Xiao Fengchen continued to mutter to himself. His hands hovered around the stone, as if he was afraid that it would shatter if he touched it. Finally, he rubbed his face and somewhat regained his dignity again. He stared at Ling Chen earnestly, asking, "Ling Tian, how did you get this spatial stone?" "I found it inadvertently while passing through a deserted area. It was about a few days ago." Ling Chen truthfully replied. Xiao Fengchen raised his face up to the heavens, and breathed out slowly, "It must be the heavens' will. Could it be that the heavens pity me, and sent someone to finally take me out of this place?" Seeing Xiao Fengchen's actions from before, Ling Chen thought that perhaps he had already become accustomed to this sort of life. However, it seemed that this was not the case. In reality, what Xiao Fengchen dreamt of every day was to see the outside world again. Then again, who in the world would be happy to stay in such a cruel and depressing place? "Big brother Xiao, can we really leave using the spatial stone?" Ling Chen asked. "Of course, as long as we can use even a tiny bit of its spatial energy, it'll definitely be enough," Xiao Fengchen said as he vigorously nodded. Ling Chen gripped the spatial stone in his hand. This stone looked incredibly unremarkable from its external appearance, so much that even if it was on the ground on a busy street, no one would even bother to look at it, and yet it was now his only hope. Is this small piece of spatial stone enough? Small? This is small? Xiao Fengchen almost spat at Ling Chen. "You know spatial stones are incredibly rare, right? Even a spatial stone as small as a grain of rice would be priceless, and would spur countless experts to kill each other over it. This piece of spatial stone as big as a fist, its worth is simply immeasurable. Then how do we use the spatial energy stored inside it?" Ling Chen asked. This was the most important question. In the description of the spatial stone, it was said that in order to use its spatial energy, one would have to have incredible forging skills at a minimum of Heaven's End grade. He definitely wasn't able to use the spatial stone, but seeing how ecstatic Xiao Fengchen looked, could he be a super high-level blacksmith? Xiao Fengchen regained his composure, and replied, "The process is neither complicated nor simple. Spatial stones contain the purest form of spatial energy. If the spatial energy can be taken out and transferred into another object, incredible spatial equipment can be created, both attack and supporting type items. Using the spatial energy to create transport equipment can transport us to any place in the Forgotten Continent, even if it's from within the lunar sky hell. However, the prerequisite is having extremely high-level forging skills, and it is extremely hard to find a human with such skills. The only ones who are able to create items with the spatial stone to perfection are a race that has disappeared for a long time, and has even been thought to have gone extinct, the dwarves. As for us two, neither of us are able to make such items with the spatial stone. However, what we can do is to forcefully extract a bit of the spatial energy within it to create a spatial rift, which we can escape through. As for where that spatial rift will lead to, who knows? But I'm sure it won't be as bad as the lunar sky hell." Ling Chen completely understood, and asked, "So how do we forcefully extract some of its spatial energy?" Xiao Fengchen looked at Ling Chen like he was an idiot. "Simple. You hit it. Use your full force to hit it." As long as there is enough force, some of the spatial energy will leak out, and we'll be able to escape. Come, give the spatial stone to me. With your tiny bit of strength, I'm sure you won't be able to force out any spatial energy, so let me try first. Feng Chen put the spatial stone on the ground, and clenched his hand into a fist. He breathed in deeply, and smashed his hand onto the spatial stone while yelling. Bang! This was the sound created by Feng Chen's fist hitting the spatial stone. Just this sound showed how much destructive power that one punch had. If it was a normal stone, it would have been blown to smithereens, but the spatial stone was still completely fine, it was not damaged in the slightest. God damn it! Following from the massive sound of the fist hitting the spatial stone, Feng Chen leapt up and started jumping around, shaking his hand in pain. Ow 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 ow. Holy frick, that hurt. Argh Ling Chen, are you alright? Ling Chen cautiously asked. He looked down at the spatial stone and confirmed that it was not damaged at all. I am fine, how could I not be alright? I just underestimated this stone, and didn't use my full strength. Just a mistake, a mistake. Feng Chen waved his hands furiously as he yelled out. However, when he turned around, Ling Chen could clearly see that there were tears of pain starting to come out from his eyes. Should I try? Ling Chen asked. You? I know you have ridiculous mental energy, but I can tell from your aura that your strength is pretty weak, even if you hit it for 100 years it'll be pointless. Feng Chen breathed in deeply, and stood in front of the spatial stone again, wiping away his tears. Goddamit, I really underestimated this stone. Just then was, half of my full strength, but it wasn't enough to force any of the spatial energy out. I'm determined to use my full strength and force you to spit out some spatial energy. Ha! Feng Chen took a new stance in front of the spatial stone, and gripped both hands into fists. He began to gather his strength while shouting, Oraya! Watch me smash it at full strength. Feng Chen's teeth were gritted together and every muscle on his body tightened. It really seemed as if he was going to every single bit of energy in his body for this one strike. He raised his fists, then smashed them downwards simultaneously. Bang! Just from hearing the massive sound, it was evident that this strike was at least twice as powerful as the previous one. Ling Chen could almost feel the ground trembling under his feet. Ling Chen looked over and saw that there were tears flowing down Feng Chen's face again. However, he was gritting his teeth and did not let out any cries of pain. After everything had quietened down, Ling Chen looked over and saw that there was still no sign of damage on the spatial stone, much less any spatial energy leaking out. Rather, the two fists on top of the spatial stone had become bright red, as if someone had just roasted them. Still not enough. Ling Chen said as he shook his head. Feng Chen dejectedly sat on the ground, huffing and puffing, while gnashing his teeth. It's indeed a spatial stone, looks like trying to forcefully extract some of its spatial energy won't be that easy. However, that's alright, with the spatial stone, we have some hope. Let me rest for a bit, I didn't prepare properly just then. I'll try again after a few hours. Let me try. After roughly calculating how strong Feng Chen's two strikes were, and considering his peak attack strength, Ling Chen still wanted to give it a shot. You? Che, even though my attack strength isn't that great, but I've still trained for 2,000 years or so. Boy, you've only lived for a few years, do you really think your attack strength is superior to those two strikes just then? Feng Chen asked with an expression of disdain. Ling Chen couldn't be bothered replying to him. Instead, he walked over and took the spatial stone and placed it in front of him. He equipped the Zephyr Blade and Great Ravager, causing Feng Chen's expression to change. 2 pieces of celestial grade equipment. Boy, you're pretty lucky. To have 2 pieces of celestial grade equipment at such strength, back then wait a second, those 2 weapons should both be two-handed weapons. how are you holding them both at the same time? That doesn't seem right. AI, even if you have 2 celestial-grade equipment, it's still going to be pointless. Don't bother wasting your energy. Ling Chen didn't pay any attention to Xiao Chen's ramblings. He slowly raised up the Zephyr Blade and Great Ravager. It seemed that there had to be enough strength in a single strike, so in that case. Soul Sacrifice. Battle Soul Possession. The max-level Soul Sacrifice could cause Ling Chen's attack power to increase by 5 times. At LV3, Battle Soul Possession not only increased damage by 100%, but also gave him absolute crit. With these 2 skills, Ling Chen's strikes were almost 10 times as powerful as they were normally. When those 2 glows appeared on Ling Chen's body, and his battle aura surged, Xiao Chen immediately stopped talking and stared at him in shock. He simply couldn't believe what was happening. What was going on? His aura suddenly skyrocketed by so much. This boy, not only was his mental energy incredible, but his battle power. Wait, this feeling. Battle Soul Possession? Could he be that guy's successor? No wonder he was so adamant in keeping his current profession, it really seemed like he had inherited that guy's power. You and I were like enemies, yet also like friends back then. We've helped each other and fought each other so many times, and in the end we even chose the same successor. Perhaps this was all fate. Ling Tian burst. 1,000-kilogram rend. The max-level soul sacrifice and LV3 battle soul possession filled Ling Chen with power, giving him a feeling like his blood was boiling. Gripping his 2 weapons, he smashed them down onto the small spatial stone. Please work. Boom! Under Ling Chen's full-strength strike, the resulting sound almost caused Ling Chen's eardrums to burst. As a result of the shockwave, Ling Chen was forced to stumble backwards by a few steps, and caused him to stun for a moment. Beside him, Xiao Chen was completely dumbstruck. He was completely certain that that strike was able to split apart the earth. Suddenly, he saw that about 3 steps in front of Ling Chen, there was a jet-black spatial rift about 2 meters tall, and was rapidly closing. Success! A bit of the spatial energy from the spatial stone had leaked out, forming a spatial rift. We've succeeded. Quick! Let's go! At this moment, there was no time to hesitate. The spatial rift had suddenly appeared and was rapidly closing. Xiao Chen leapt into action, and activated Broken Shadow. He sped over and picked Ling Chen up, as well as the spatial stone on the ground, then charged into the spatial rift. 1 second later, the jet-black spatial rift had completely disappeared, taking all traces of Xiao Chen and Ling Chen with it. We're out, we're finally out. Xiao Chen raised his head to the sky and laughed wildly for 3 whole minutes, until his throat was sore. That's right, they had indeed escaped. After going into the spatial rift, they were sent to a place where there were cool breezes, and plenty of sunlight. They definitely weren't in the lunar sky hell anymore. Xiao Chen, who had not experienced sunlight or wind for 1,000 years, laughed and cried non-stop. Ling Chen deeply breathed out, and did not disturb Xiao Chen's emotional outburst. Instead, he sat down, and took out the map to confirm where he was. He had only been in the lunar sky hell for a fairly short period of time, so he had not truly experienced the terrors of that place, so his reaction was not as strong as Xiao Chen's. If I didn't enter the lunar sky hell, perhaps I would have never been able to find the Pisces orb. Ling Chen muttered to himself while looking at the Pisces orb in the lunar scourge. It was simply impossible to understand how fate worked. Entering the lunar sky hell should have been a terrible catastrophe for him. In fact, it should have been that he would have been stuck in that situation forever. However, what resulted was completely different. From the map, it seemed that he and Xiao Chen had been transported to a place in the north of the Forgotten Continent, a place called Wild Goose Valley. Just based on the name, it was clear that this was not a dangerous place. They had been transported to the top of a small hill. Xiao Chen had tired from laughing, and was incredibly happy. The Forgotten Continent's air is so fresh. I never thought I would be able to experience this air again in my entire life. Looks like I need to keep living for a long time. I can't just come out after all this time to just die before enjoying myself. By the way, Ling Tian, where's your master right now? My master? Ling Chen was confused. I don't have a master. You don't have one? Then where did your battle soul possession come from? Seeing that Ling Chen didn't seem to be lying to him, Xiao Chen asked with curiosity. Ling Chen understood what Xiao Chen was talking about and nodded. My power is indeed the battle soul, but this power was inherited from a senior called the War God. As for that War God, he already died 1,000 years ago. Dead. Xiao Chen's mouth opened and closed, and an expression of sorrow flashed on his face, but was quickly replaced with his normal cheery smile. If he's dead, then he's dead. At least he won't have to face any problems anymore. Plus, it saves me the effort to go and find him. Did you know him? Ling Chen asked in surprise. I did. Back then, he was called the strongest human, and was the closest person to the Saint Destroyer level. As for me, I was the only person he feared. Moreover, AI, forget it, those are all old things from 1,000 years ago. You're the inheritor of his power, so go and make this power known throughout all the land. He dedicated his whole life to his training, and his greatest desire was to reach the level of his ancestors. Looks like his wish will have to be accomplished through you. Xiao Chen wistfully said.